Hello, everybody.
Good old NES Pictionary going fucking hard thanks to Tim Follin. Was one of those guys who did chip tunes good, and it doesn't matter what goddamn game it was in. If it was in Pictionary, fuck yeah, he's gonna do it good. Anyway, I'm half eating something because I haven't had anything in hours, and I better fucking eat something or I die on stream. So here I am, not waiting with more music. Oh no, 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 not doing that. I'm sitting here jamming things in my mouth because I've been so out of sorts the last couple of hours, because for the last week I've been jamming a hardcore World of Warcraft character all the way from level 12 for the last 2 weeks all the way up to level 45 just for me to fucking die because I pulled one extra mob, didn't realize how hard I was being hit, and the hunter next to me didn't fucking lend a hand. So 2 weeks of constant hours of just enjoying time down the fucking drain. So now I'm figuring out what the hell I want to play again. But god damn it, I need to get my mind off something to stream. And that will make it a lot better. Anyway. So I'm jamming here. Picking everything up. And we're going to pick up with more Raging Loop, where last time where I left off, well, if you wanted to, we could have leveled together. Yeah. Anyway, see, last time we left off, we went and finished our run as the Wolves. And it still turned out to be a bunch of weird, crazy, stupid shit at the end. Where we had to, we got caught because of the flashlight and killed, or we had to throw what's-her-name underneath the bus and do whatever to get another ending. After we got to the ending, it looked like we were going to win, and then our main character just killed Mochi. Killed one of the characters without using the wolf, not when the wolf was supposed to do it. Which means that we sacrificed our own life, because that means we're going to die by the corruption. And then suddenly we started having weird visions and seeing shit. And then we died. After seeing an eldritch horror, and the sheep thing that shows up at the end of the game says, "Oh, damn, you fucked up. Here, let me send you back and try it one more time and never do this one again." So, part of me really thinks... that since we killed Mochi for whatever fucking reason, the game wanted us to really just kill him now with the shotgun. I'm pretty sure that that ending was us dying of corruption, and I'm still pretty sure corruption is like some kind of like gas thing that makes us fucking hallucinate and fucks our minds up. Because he said it was the same feeling that he gets when he goes out into the mists. When he was going to just passively die. So I really think that we are being like there's something in the mist that gasses us, that like makes us go unconscious and we die. Because they already said there was wild dogs out in the mist, or hanging out in the village waiting to kill us, and that's the corruption. So I'm still thinking the corruption is a mundane thing. It's just weird that they put the fucking... It really is Space Ghost the game. It honestly really the fuck is. It's gas leak gaming. We're going back inside where the gas is. It's more fun. But... So we just got some new powers. Not new powers, but we got some more information. So we're going to go back to the original loop. And see what more keys we can unlock. And hopefully actually find an answer. Because the thing that annoys me the most is our main character makes some weird... Like, the part that annoys me is that the way they wrote it, there is the middle loop in the game where you're trying to get rid of Kemi's and Mochi's bullets. And the game says, "Oh, well, I had to do this loop a bunch of times. And he did it off screen just to get rid of the bullets." Which, unfortunately, if they just did not say that line, if they just I would be like, them saying that line means that the main character has the will to retry things if they fail and retry it multiple times until it succeeds. However, that is the only spot in the game so far in which the main character says, "Oh, I tried it until I got it to work," when there's plenty of other things that he could have tried until it worked and just, changed how he did it each time. And the game goes, no, not this time. You only get the answer we give you. So I really, if they just didn't put that one bit of dialogue in, like that, I think was an error. Them saying, instead of just saying, I told the old man and Takumi, hey, why don't we pat down everybody before we do the feast this time? And then we could have found the shotguns on Mochi and Kemi and disarmed them that way, rather than like throwing in that throwaway line of, oh, how many times I went and finally got the bullets out. Because there's a lot more things that we could do to just kind of make things go differently that we haven't done yet. So we tried to get answers by playing as wolves and seeing what happens when we win, but then our character throws it away by killing Mochi, I assume. And now we don't really get to see the end of our win, so we don't get to find any more information out about the run. So like this entire run of being wolves ended with us not gaining any goddamn information besides what it's like to be a wolf, which it sounds like there's actual wild animals outside, and that you have to do this weird ritual with water and everything. So it's really kind of annoying that our character did this entire run to find information and then just found no information. It just has nothing. So we're gonna pick right up now. We're gonna pick right back up now. We're going back to the first loop, and we're gonna be talking to Kemi and finding more information. So what I hope our character does is something that I was hoping our character would do earlier on, and find out why Kemi was out in the mist when we first met her the first time anyway. So that's what we're going to. Hopefully we'll find out about a lot more. I'm just going to pop this open and let's get the game beginning. So we're picking up here, right back in the first loop. We have some more information about Kemi. So I assume this is when we're going to start trying to get more out of her. Huh? We're not messing around? Get it right, and I'm giving you a nice present. Get it wrong, and you're dead. Splosh, splosh. Seriously. You're a thirsty perv. You feel guilty. All of them. You're desperate. You need an alibi. You're a thirsty perv. I feel guilty if you'll. So that's the only key we got. The key we got was all of them. Sure. At that moment, my head was flooded with information. I felt like my mind was crushed by a million sheep. Crap, why'd I forget? Did my memories carry over in a weird way because the method from back then was weird? The fuck does that mean? Well, then again, this wouldn't be the first time my memories didn't carry over. Wait, it's not? Wait. What do you mean it's not the first time your memories didn't carry over properly? Wait, whoa. Why are you suddenly saying the method looping? Like, this entire time, all you've said is, oh, well, at least I'll be able to do it in the next loop. At least I'll remember this. At least I'll remember this. And now suddenly it doesn't always work? What? Oh, what the fuck? Come on, bro, come on.
Bad as you fight, you missed my vital organs. All of
them? All of them. Classic. Maybe I should have counted myself lucky for remembering it all. See, why are you saying that? You've always remembered it. Is there a path that we haven't done yet that you haven't? Anyway, I have tons of things to think about. About the beast in the village. The giant monster. The dream enveloping Fujiyoshi, as well as the looping the sheep had told me about. But this wasn't the time to worry about that. Haruki-san, what's wrong? this girl, one time, she, fearful of God, faced the wolves with me and eventually met an awful end in Saranaga. Another time, she was a cold-blooded wolf that silenced one of her own, then when cornered, tried to kill everyone. And last time, she interfered with us wolves by, for whatever reason, killing herself on the first day of the feast. Her smile that might have been burned into my mind continued to torment me. Kemi Serizawa. Hold on. I knew the reason why she'd done that. It was simple. She'd been dropping hints ever since the very start. They were more like slips of the tongue, small and almost impossible to notice. Hey, you're not feeling too good? Do you hate this sort of stuff? Sorry. Guess I got carried away. All of them. Huh? All of the options you named are correct. Yeah. There were wolves here in Fujiyoshi. Yeah, you were the real murderer. And correct me if I'm wrong, but before I came to Saranaga, you were about to saw off shotgun barrels. Preparing to kill people is something you want to hide, so you needed an alibi. Huh? What? Why? You remember the previous loops. You should hurry before I change my mind. Hey, that might have been our final farewell in this life, so I wanted to make it nice. That was weird. You said you agreed to go on a road trip with me because you were going to die anyway, but the mist didn't even show up yet when I invited you. That means you knew the mist was about to arrive. She'd lost track of what was supposed to know and not know. It happened to me too. Haruki-san, you ran away because of the trouble with women, right? You thought you figured out that I was dumped because you were sharp. But if you have memories of the previous loops, it's only natural for you to know that I was dumped. I told you that to you myself. Play with me. Hold my hand. Take me on a bike ride far away. Let me spend all day sleeping in your arms. The moment that confirmed it was when you came to me as a wolf and told me about your feelings. Okay, well that makes a lot of sense why on that second loop she was acting like, you know, if this is true, that does make a lot of sense then, okay. That's why she was suddenly super into me out of nowhere. Back then, I wasn't a bike rider, but a suicidal guy that arrived here through Koma Fujiyoshi. You have no reason to think you could just hitch a bike ride with me. You know that the real abnormality here isn't the feast, but the looping. It wouldn't make sense otherwise. She suddenly screamed. In her hand, she had a familiar hunting knife. It didn't work. Dropping it all on her so suddenly was too much for her to handle. Bro. Though regret dulled my mind, my vision sharpened and I saw her slowly charge at me. I might have been used to death by now, but I didn't want it to be slow and painful. I used the time I was given to just close my eyes. An impact. I collapsed on my back. A sharp pain assaulted me. At least, I thought it was going to, but it didn't. There was just a warm weight against my body. Okay, I thought it was actually going to be a dead end. It's like, yeah, she instantly just kills you. I slowly opened my eyes. Her face was brimming with intense emotion. As her eyes filled with tears, the hand with the knife went limp. The blade fell free. No way. There's no way I wasn't the only one. This is just a dream, isn't it? I'm about to wake up and start the feast again, right? Don't give me false hope. Not with this face, at least. This isn't a dream. Well, to be clear, though it might be reduced to a dream eventually, this moment is real right now. And since we share the memories the dreams give us, the moments we share will never be merely dreams. Haruki, so, are you saying the reason why in the third loop, the reason why she killed herself first is because she's been through that loop where she found out that I was a wolf, and that's why she did that? But then wouldn't we be able to do a loop at one point without her doing that? Like whatever, I guess there would only be one loop, her first one where she found that we were the wolves. in which she didn't do that, and then just every other time she did it? Huh. Or maybe once she knew that everyone was... Like, if she knew that everyone living led to certain outcomes, even she could have messed with that. Huh. Anyway.
Haruki-san, I don't have any weapons on me right now. I won't strangle you either.
Thanks for clarifying.
I won't do anything at all, so... Can I cling to you?
Yeah.
Haruki-san!
She clung to my chest and wailed. Emotion, tears, none of it was restrained.
I was so scared. I was so scared. It was so lonely. I was the only one going back and again and again and again. I killed and got killed by them so many times, and their deaths, their words, they all just kept piling up.
How many loops have you had?
I stopped counting after 100.
It must have been hard.
It was.
As I embraced her, crying without end, I felt something myself as well. This was a hell from which not even death could save you. Wandering through it all alone, one couldn't help but feeling frail and helpless. I spent most of my time here chasing after the mystery behind it all. As long as I still had ideas to try, the mystery was both my greatest fear and fascination. But what if I ran out of ideas? What if I tried everything I could think of, only to discover there was no escape from this loop, and that I was a prisoner for it for eternity? My worst fear was a mystery without an answer. As one faced with the very possibility, I could really relate to her. The alcohol must have made her more emotional too. She was crying incessantly, and someone who cared about her appearances, I had to hold back from getting emotional myself. It took her almost an hour to come down. She began talking. I wouldn't have minded if she just went to sleep, but the joy and excitement from finally finding someone who shared her experience probably wouldn't have let her. It was time to check some answers.
I'm impressed that you knew. Yeah, I was actually sawing off barrels.
In this timeline, I'm an outsider who ended up not participating in the feast, and you didn't have your guns, right? Is that because I interrupted you and made you leave the shotguns in the Saranaga?
Seriously? You really are a detective, aren't you?
If I was, I wouldn't be relying on theories and assumptions like this. It's an evidence-based profession.
Huh.
That's why I needed to ask. Next question. Are you a murderer?
No. Not yet. This time, anyway. At least, I hadn't killed anyone before coming back to Yasumizu.
But you had 2 guns, right?
I just wanted to go hunting with Kanzoji-chan. At first, anyway.
She continued to talk. It was May of her 3rd year in college. Time to go job hunting. With the job market in the state it was, most of the leads she found on work sounded more like horror stories. Some couldn't find a job despite checking 100 places. Some went straight to explorative businesses. Some had all the credit in the world yet ended up working at the docks or something. Kemi had no particular profession in mind, nor did she find any ideas at her seminars, so she was at a loss. Her situation was made even worse when her boyfriend left her. Huh? So you're like me?
Shut up.
He was your second boyfriend, right? Why'd he break up with you?
You remember all the details, huh? Anyway, he said that girls with guns creep him out.
That might have been weird from a normal man's perspective, but personally that just intrigued me. How long had you been dating?
We got together at the start of Golden Week, and he left me right after it was over.
Ouch.
Should I just kill you?
Anyway, the failed relationships and life in the city in general was starting to get to her, so she'd started to consider moving back here after graduation. Back to Fujiyoshi, a place she'd supposedly hated.
I've forgotten most of the bad things after moving away from here.
She used the job hunting as a pretext to take a short vacation, and she returned here 2 days ago on Friday. She figured that refreshing her mind and body would help her with the job search. The locals neither celebrated nor disliked the fact that she came back, they just gave her a normal welcome. They hadn't changed, she however had.
In the past, I used to study after waking up at 5, but now I'm so used to the easy college life that my circadian rhythm is completely off. I even forgot my MD player.
MD player. CD?
What? MD player? Okay, well. And I couldn't borrow from anyone else here since no one had one. Man, did I think that the rural life was uncomfortable. No convenience stores nearby either. And since everyone else is so frugal, they don't even like drinking with me.
Okay, there's no convenience store nearby. Are you sure? Ask her that. Ask her if she's sure there's no convenience store nearby, because there definitely is one.
I expected something different, to be honest. This is where I belong and all that. Yeah, no, this place is half abandoned. Why'd I ever expect something like that? I realized that this isn't the place for me either. I slept and woke up on May 10th, yesterday morning. That was the point I looped back at first.
That was unexpected. I asked and found out something more. The point to which she'd looped back had changed twice so far. The first time was in the morning of May 10th. This return point stayed consistent for 57 times.
Of course, it was just a normal day for me the first time. I spent 2 days doing nothing, and then the mist came. I was hanged on the first day. They said something about me bringing corruption from the outside. Horrible, right? I can still remember the first time my breathing stopped. Then I looped back. At first I thought it was all just a long nightmare, but then the mist came again. I looped back many times, and no matter what I said or did, I couldn't make it past the 4th day. I was really sad about it. I thought it showed just how worthless I was to them. Yeah, sorry. I know, it's not that simple. But by my 57th death, I just figured that's how it was. Not like it was a big deal to them. I was a wolf after all.
The wolves back then were Kemi and Tei Yamiokawa. With Kemi being easy to suspect and Tei-san not handling herself well, they just couldn't win the feast. Still, they'd successfully brutalized a few people before both of them got hanged. In the end, Kemi took the initiative and committed murders with her own 2 hands. It hadn't taken long for her to try and just kill everyone while breaking the rules. Her trial and error became a matter of just who'd I kill and how.
After that, there was a change. Miko-chan wandered in.
It happened the day after the first restart point. It was already 2 a.m. now, so that would be the morning of yesterday, May 11th. The boring, meaningless day suddenly became a big deal. The reason for that was the lost girl who'd wandered in from upstream Saranaga. Takumi-san had told me that it wasn't uncommon for Saranaga to bring corpses, but this was the first time it brought a living human. Not just any living human, a lost girl of unknown origins. According to Kemi, if there was some trouble in Yasumizu, they couldn't just call someone to inform them about it. Instead, there was an unspoken agreement that they would just bring it up while chatting with the driver of the truck that brought food and supplies here once a week. They mentioned the lost girl, and since the driver was in touch with the Higuchis, the village heads would know about it too. If something else was done about a problem they were told about, that was great. But if it wasn't, it meant that Kame Fujiyoshi didn't plan to get involved. They had tried to get help by phone once, but that got the truck driver to just not bring supplies for a week, which was pretty messed up. The next supply run would be Thursday, sometime away, so they didn't know what they would do with the girl. Tei-san's screeched about chasing her out, but in the end, Rikaku-san agreed to take her in. The problem was solved, for anyone but Kemi anyway.
I mean, she just appeared out of nowhere on the 58th time. I wondered what that was all about. It was a change just big enough to make me wonder if there was hope in this nightmare. The feast soon started, and the guardian assignments changed a lot. Takumi Nichan was the snake, and revealed it on the first day. You probably know this timeline.
Oh. So basically the timeline where I was alive, but didn't participate, was similar to the one where I wasn't there at all. Still, she was human in the new timeline, and that change gave her hope, so she started experimenting again. It didn't take long for her to despair again.
Takumi Nichan died early, and I either got hanged or killed by wolves early. One time, Kaori-san went crazy and poisoned the food. The ones who died happened to be the wolves, and we won. I left Yasumizu then, but the late night bus got engulfed in mist, and I don't know what happened, but it probably crashed and I got sent back. The return point was now Sunday morning, the moment Miko-chan wanders in, and had become a new routine. I still didn't see a way out.
The morning of May 11th, it was a restarting point that she went back to more often than any other. Overcome by despair, she started trying to challenge the feast's rules. She tried escaping the mist, surviving the corruption after killing more than one in a day, etc. After dozens of tries, she concluded that there was no way to escape these laws. By that point, she killed each of the locals dozens of times.
Whenever I saw their faces, I began thinking of their corpses and dying screams from this time or that time. These memories began just popping up in my mind. It wasn't like it hurt or anything. I'd actually gotten too okay with it. I actually began to think that might have been the true reality. That everyone had already died and become Yamabito. That the story I heard as a wolf was right. That when I just start doing whatever and seeing what stuck. I even tried killing everyone before the feast began, even though I knew there was no way it could lead to me to victory. And well, it didn't. No matter how hard I tried, I was either hanged, killed, or got caught in the mist and died. At that point, I was already tired of dying. It hurt, of course, but more than that, it was just became boring. The only way to beat the boredom now was to find new ways to kill people. The many impossible deaths happening on repeat had warped her heart and mind. So yeah. I'm a real murderer now.
That wasn't a thing to say with such a smile.
Haruki-san, don't become...
I finally realized what that meant. Don't become like me? That's what you wanted to say, right?
Yeah. It was a well-placed
warning indeed. Unfortunately, back then, I not only missed it, but went on to become the absolute worst murderer I could think of.
Our arrival was the third change since Miko-chan came. The starting point moved about 12 hours, too.
The night of May 11th, the day before the feast, as well as the day I got lost on my bike ride and Kemi went out to prepare to kill. That was the newest starting point, and the one she and I had actually shared.
At first, I didn't expect much. You were just a funny guy who'd probably die like Mamiya-san and Hashimoto-san. But after you came, for some reason more and more changes started happening. Mamiya-san survived for once. I became a wolf again. And,
What?
Nothing. Anyway, then Hashimoto-san survived and the roles changed again. I understood everything once I saw Haru-chan go to the construction site. Oh yeah, since the wolves did their jobs when everyone was sheltering, anyone who stayed outside was watched and would quickly know who they were. You were a human until then, but when you became a wolf, I was worried that you'd go insane like I did. That's why I said that.
I didn't really want to remember that. Once I'd become a wolf, I intended not to be bound by Yasumizu's rules, but in the end, I became an utter madman. And to make it worse, I ended up dancing on the palm of God's hand. Kemi's words might have become subconscious break for the madness racing within me. That was why her face came to mind whenever I was partaking in something really messed up. Anyway, this reminded me of another mystery. Wait, how did you go outside back then?
Huh? I just stood on the second floor of the dorm and shot any dogs going up.
Wait, what? Wait, how did you go out? Oh, okay. How'd she go outside in the corruption? She just shot the dogs. Wait, what? You can beat the night just like that? A gun is all you need?
No, it just buys you some time. Eventually the real deal comes.
Real deal?
The thing with the wolf heads and human body.
That has to be a human wearing clothes like the ones given to the wolves.
That man-wolf works for Shinai-san, a servant of the Okami-sama. You were a wolf, so you saw the figures in the Hanging Pines graveyard, right? That was Shinai-san, and those who mete out his punishments are werewolves. There were lots of them. Shinai was Okami. Great Lord Shinai and Okami-sama were the same thing. Mamiya-san said that too.
There were creatures who'd come to you in a dream. Besides them, there were lots of monsters who carried out their will. God had implied dogs, the bringers of corruption, were the servants of the badger, Mujima-sama. Using these werewolves and underlings might have been the power of the Great Lord Shinai as Okami-sama. So, even if you get rid of the bringers of corruption, you'll always die when faced with that thing? Kemi nodded. It didn't look like I could go anywhere from here, but I will just leave it at that. Back to what we were talking about. Why did you decide to wait for us outside?
I thought I'd just end it.
Huh?
I was all alone in the feast, but there was a person who helped me out a lot.
Okay, so now that we're telling Kemi this, there's got to be a way for us to work together, right? To try to convince him to do things? Maybe see things she couldn't have seen?
Honestly, you just made it a bigger mess. Hell, I died a lot of times thanks to you.
Sorry.
Oh, don't worry. I killed you tons of times too.
Really? Then I guess we're even.
You're quick to bounce back, aren't you? You weren't that upset, were you?
I only care about it if you did. Anyway, who's the person?
Rikako-san. Rikako Uematsu.
She helped you?
She's a Fujiyoshi person to the core. But I'm sure she's the best person here. She's just rampantly superstitious and super conservative, but also refined, devoted, and she treats outsiders, as well as outcasts like me, like equals. She isn't disgusted by us.
The bedroom woman servant who took in anything, huh?
If Fujiyoshi had a good old ex about it, it's probably her. She's like a huge pile of all things good about the past. You fell for her too, didn't you?
No, not really.
Liar. Well, I can see the appeal though, anyway. She's an anomaly here in Fujiyoshi.
Even in Kame Fujiyoshi?
Yeah. The Uematsu are on the decline and, well, it's a family with circumstances and everyone knows it.
Oh.
She's pretty, but also too weird for most to deal with. The Nasato blockhead is probably her only fan. She barely even gives him the time of day, though.
Kimmy grinned cruelly. She was pretty hard on him, huh? I see. So why are you indebted to her?
For many things. She defended me during the feast, became my shield when someone went wild and tried to kill me, and took in the corruption, among other things.
What do you mean?
Do you remember how, in this timeline, the local old man and Mochi both die at the same time? And how she becomes a Yamabita the next day?
Yeah, I do. You know something about it?
The old man killed Mochi. I killed the old man.
Huh? I'm not surprised that you killed him, but the old wolf guy killed Mochi?
That pissed me off. I was pretty surprised, too. When we split up and searched for them, I found Mochi already dead. The old man laughed and attacked me, so I reflexively, you know.
I need time. So he was planning on getting away if he lost the vote, even if it meant killing someone?
Yeah, Kanzo-ji-chan probably suspects that too, and so in timelines where he's alive, he just hangs them by force.
But that's weird. Killing more than one per day or trying to run away means death.
Yeah, I know. That's better than anyone.
How did he plan to avoid dying? Was he just not thinking about it?
I think he was just too senile to think of that far ahead.
Is that possible? Honestly, I couldn't help but feel like he'd chosen to kill out of malice. I really had to find a way to get some information. Well, you can just wait till the day in where he does that, and then you can interfere and make it so he can't kill Mochi. I really had to find a way to get some information out of him. Wait, more importantly, how did you survive after splashing the old wolf guy?
I told you, Rikako-san took in the corruption for me.
Huh? You mean she passed on the feast penalty to herself?
Yeah. After splashing the old man, I was like, oh man, did I mess up? Guess this is it for me this time. That's when Rikako-san came out of the mist. She was surprised, but then said, "You will not die. I will take in your sin and corruption."
You sound just like her.
I know, right? Should we really talk about this so casually?
The sun mood had vanished, and we were now talking about the stuff over a few beers. I think it's fine. We're not murderers yet. Let the past loops get to you and you'll go nuts in no time.
This was bothering me so much, and you took care of it like it was nothing. Oh well, I guess I'll take it easy. Anyway, Rikako-san protected me, so I went back to change my clothes. We talked then, remember?
Who's there?
Oh, Haruki-sama.
Wow, Kemi, yet again? What a twist.
What's that supposed to mean? Sorry, but you should stay there right now. This might be really bad.
Huh? Hold on, open up. Oh yeah, you were changing out of your bloody clothing back then.
Yep. I like that getup, so I have some spare.
Now that she mentioned it, I did feel like she'd said that. Anyway, you went against the 1 per day rule.
Yeah. From my experience, you always suffer the corruption at night after breaking it. That timeline was the only exception.
And since Rikako-san had taken it in, like she said, the corruption went to her, huh? But wasn't she supposed to be torn apart?
That's Yomi's corruption.
Yomi's corruption?
The strongest, worst corruption. Touching it makes you a Yamabito.
Kemi was now acting afraid of something. Okay. I get why you feel indebted to Rikako-san, why you wanted to give up on the feast and how you got here. Now, for a more serious question, you probably won't like this, but it's necessary to get to the heart of the matter. Can you help me out? Of course, if it's something you can't handle, you can just stop. Kemi lightly nodded. You're invested in something supernatural that the others here aren't. One of them is the corruption, and the other is God. Tell me about both.
You remember everything even when you die. So, I don't wanna. You'll hate and be disgusted by me forever. I don't want that. You're the only one who can understand me.
It's fine. I don't feel much about you being a murderer, right?
But
It's fine.
you promise you won't hate me?
I promise. After a few seconds of hesitation, she finally gathered her resolve. She then put her hand inside the collar and took something out. A metallic trinket on a metal chain, showing 3 symbols. A whirl and a diamond. It was a sign of the Yomatsu Okami. I remembered the time I picked it up in the Saranaga after I'd won against Kemi at the snake. So it belonged to her, huh?
This is... No, don't look! Serizawa-sama, I am so sorry. That is a corruption even I cannot take in.
It came back to me. Rikaku-san had discovered something pendant-like that was Kemi-chan was wearing. After that, Kemi went nuts and ran off into the mist. That meant that what I found in Saranaga on the other timeline had been dropped by her after she jumped off a cliff. I finally realized another thing. Here, the talisman with the sign of the Yomatsu Okami, Yomi itself, was the worst of omens, and actually wearing it couldn't have been a good thing. It could only represent the worst, most fearful and maddening of things.
This is something I've been wearing since I was little. You know what this means, right? A whirl and a claw? The sign of the Yomatsu Okami, the lord of the corrupting hunting grounds.
Why do you have that?
Because I'm corrupted. My old name was Kemi Migurama. Amiguruma?
Wait, hold up. Let me pronounce it better. Nope, not that one.
Was Kemi Miguruma? Miguruma? Yeah. Was Kemi Miguruma.
Miguruma? The tower lookouts? The top of the 4-head families in Kamafujiyoshi? The snake?
Kemi Miguruma was the daughter of the snake. She didn't have any siblings, so she was supposed to become the wife of the man who'd adopted and become the head of the family. At least until she was 5.
Kemi's eyes turned dry and empty.
That day, I playfully opened the iron door to the basement of the 3rd lookout. I was told never to go there, and the door had symbols on it. And...
Calm down, Kemi-chan. You saw dogs, didn't you? She came back to her senses and light returned to her eyes. I knew it. I could see part of the conspiracy. The dogs bit you, right?
Yeah.
As it became harder for her to speak, she pulled up her sleeves and showed me her wrists. They were old, but clearly visible scars on them.
Anyone who takes in Yomi's corruption will eventually go mad and die. Migurumas had that drilled into our head since we were little.
Why did the Miguruma have them?
Saranaga isn't the only entrance to Yomi. It has a mouth open in many places. The Uematsu family used to protect us against it, but they couldn't do it anymore, so...
The Miguruma took it upon themselves? Kemi nodded.
A daughter who received Yomi's corruption wasn't suitable for the Miguruma. That's why, just like Mochi, I was disowned. Sorry, I've come down now.
Don't force yourself.
It's fine. I had my surname changed to that of a branch family and was sent to Yasumizu. Again, just like Mochi.
Huh, so they changed surnames because of the disowning. Orabe was probably Kaori-san's maiden name, but yeah, I could see how they worked around this. No one seemed to know that you were Miguruma, though.
The Miguruma are a very secretive family. They hide any births and deaths in the family for about 10 years.
You can't shut out gossip, can you?
The Miguruma can. The people who do the reports and everyone at the funeral are Miguruma.
I see. But why are they so secretive?
I left when I was little, so I can't be sure. But they probably think that secrets have power.
Secrets? Mysteries could mobilize people, huh? Intelligence management was extremely important when keeping a group in line, especially for the Miguruma, who were doing something dangerous.
This pendant is proof of the corruption. I'm corrupted, so I'm fated to become part of Yomi. But I was told that it would hold out the corruption back and keep it under control until the time came. Yomotsu Okami were scary Yomobito, which I believed controlled other Yomobito, so I thought this would keep me, a corrupted Yomobito, from going wild. I was really scared of that happening.
That was nothing more than her earnest beliefs. That was why I understood just how pure and profound her feelings were. She'd come to know immense despair at an extremely young age. So you went to Yasumizu, and then what?
Well, I went nuts. I was young, but I knew I was corrupted and sent to a corrupted place. Teiba-chan was my primary victim. She was the one in charge of the dining hall, and I always refused the food.
Oh, so that's why they were still so distant.
I entered elementary school as a Sarazawa, and I was the only student from Yasumizu back then. It was pretty hard. I was bullied, and if I fought back, they'd team up and make me out to be the bad guy. It kind of worked out because the teacher knew what was going on. But then the teacher transferred to another school. My situation got really bad. Then Orabe-san and her family moved in. Then Yasu-kun, Haru-chan, and Yoshi-kun started going to school. I became the big sister character, so I had to do my best. And then, well, you know.
You kicked the crap out of someone?
I kicked the crap out of someone, haha. Well, I got chewed out and punished pretty harshly, and what might have made the situation even worse for Yasumizu, but all the bullying stopped, so I'm proud of what I did.
I see. So that was why the children here adored her, but she felt awkward around the adults. So, was it a conscious sense of duty that made you do it?
I was mostly just pissed.
I don't mind. It's cool.
I was a pretty rough girl, hahaha.
But at the core of it all, there was the fear of the corruption, right? Deep down, you were scared at the thought that you'd go insane eventually, or were just desperate.
You know everything, don't you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to seem like I know it all.
It's fine. I'm glad to have someone who at least tries to understand me.
Kemi giggled. She could laugh at it now, but probably only because she'd grow up and realize a few things. Did you look into a lot when you left for college? Like about the dogs and stuff?
Well, yeah.
Should you really be afraid of them?
I'm scared of God and its corruption. The science behind the disease doesn't change much.
Yeah. Then let's talk about that. In one of the timelines I was in, I met God.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure I know what kind of thing God is. But I feel like it's a bit different from the image of God you gave me. Kemi, can you see God? As in visually?
Everyone has met God. Maybe they just can't see it. You think it's insane, right?
The looping in God itself are already pretty insane, to be honest. I'm ready to accept anything at this point.
How flexible. Are you an octopus?
Why did everyone like comparing me to weird stuff so much?
Yeah, I can see it.
Is it different than the 3 you saw when you got the blessing of the wolf?
God is on everyone.
Even little girls like Miko?
It's not really clear on her. It seems big though, whatever it is.
I was told that there were 3 gods in Yasumizu.
Huh? Who told you that?
That's the secret.
The only Yasumizu gods I know are Shinai-sama and God.
Huh? Shinai-san is a god, no?
Shinai-san is a god, but not the god I have in mind.
The god in Haru-chan is the one you're thinking of, right?
Yeah.
I think I get it.
Really? Tell me more.
Not right now, of course, because how dare we know information?
Hey, don't be like that.
No. At this point, I was now able to split up and think about the problems I was involved in with right now individually. One problem was the prevention of the feast of the Yomi Purge. Another problem was the prevention of the giant monster's resurrection. And the third problem was the ending of the loop. They were all related, but they all needed different solutions. And to fix the first one, the feast, I'd have to use the looping to do something about God. Specifically, the God that had Kemi, as well as everyone else in Yasumizu, completely imprisoned. Weak, powerless God. My ass. The one was a pain to deal with because they were powerless. I had to be careful about how I dealt with it. As well as Kemi, God's prisoners. I'll keep it safe for a while longer.
Why?
Because I know the secrets have power. We continued exchanging info. I couldn't keep the sheep hidden, so I started with that. When I loop back, I always see a sheep, and that's probably the reason why I keep my memories. What about you?
I don't remember anything like that.
That meant the reason she kept her memories was different from mine. Also, her memory retention was less consistent than mine. Some memories actually felt like a dream for her, and others lacked clarity. She said that, for all she knew, she might have looped a lot more times than she realized. I was curious why she kept her memories, but I set it aside for now. Anyway, according to the sheep, the loops were happening because of the dream. I thought over in my own way the things it quickly shared with me. Something had absorbed Fujiyoshi and the general area in a dream. It was absurd, but I had to accept it. An area of some square kilometers had been detached from the real world, meaning that this was like a virtual reality. This space could be restored, and it probably had a different flow of time.
Alright, so clearly what we've learned from Outer Wilds is what you have to do is you have to wander into the mist, and then you have to jump off the boat, and then you'll spawn into the unloaded areas that's outside, out of bounds of the game. And then I spent a lot of loops here, but not even a second had passed in reality. This dream could happen over and over without wasting any time. That gave the mastermind behind it countless chances to create the ending they wanted. And once that happened, the dream would stop being a dream. It would become prophetic, basically, or rather stop being reset just as a dream and turn everything that happened into reality. It meant that I could be going about my business, still thinking that I could retry it all, when the master of the dream could just yank the rug out from under me and be like, nope. This was as if reality had an intrusive editor who told the author to turn anything he didn't like into a dream. Man, that was messed up. According to the sheep and Kemi's info, the range of the dreams had changed. At first, the dream just looped around, but when some outsider came in, it started going all weird and shit. You made a huge mess of things, and that right there's the result. The dream changed because of me. After that, there was a change. Miko-chan wandered in. Your revival also changed since Miko-chan came. The starting point moved about 12 hours too. I had no idea how many loops the sheep had been through since starting, but it did mention that things didn't change much at the start. It meant that the result was the same no matter how much of the dream had been repeated, far from the ending the dream's architects desired. That was when they brought in the first outsider, probably Kemi. The method was most likely moving the dream's start time sometime further. When Kemi had returned to Fujiyoshi, she had already entered the dream, unwittingly becoming trapped in the loop. Because the start of the loop, the starting point, was pushed in later, Kemi became a character in the dream. Kemi was the first one who had memories of the previous loops, and with her joining, the dream began to change. However, those changes didn't satisfy the mastermind, especially with Kemi not really doing anything instructive. Thus, they moved the start a bit later again, this time talking to Miko, who from what I'd seen didn't have any memories of the previous loops. It wasn't hard to guess that nothing had changed by her joining. The third one to enter was me. And I, unaware of the mastermind's plot, tried out various things that ended up fulfilling their wishes. The sheep said that the mastermind still didn't know about its involvement. However, they must have known that Kemi and I often did unexpected things, though I wasn't sure if they would be aware that we had our memories. They either didn't know about it or just didn't know the cause. So I guess we shouldn't reveal that we remember stuff, huh? Yeah, especially around the people of Yasumizu. Huh? What? You saying that one of them is the mastermind? That's likely. At the very least, I'm pretty sure that the Migurama have nothing to do with the looping. Why? Because their goal is different from the Great Lord Shinai's. But who could it be? Who's hiding another god? Is it possible for a person to hide their god from your sight? I can't really see the god of the people I don't know. I see. Basically, her ability was like an eye for reading people. Even though you couldn't know for sure based on just faces, some people could intuitively figure out certain things about others just by finding out more about them. In her case, such info was just more visual. It might have been a kind of synesthesia. There were people in the world who perceived numbers as colors. With that in mind, I shouldn't have expected her supernatural powers to be the solution to the supernatural problem.
Instead, I should rely on her ability to retain memories. What do we do now? I'd like to see more endings so I can help out set some conditions. The only outcomes I know that are the one where the wolves achieves a flawless victory, the one where humans achieve a normal victory, and one where the wolves achieve a quark victory. Wait. I put a Q. Is that yeah? A quirk. All right, need to see that one. QYRRHIC. A quartic? No, that's not the word. Is that supposed to be a P? A Pyrrhic? Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know why I have Q in my fucking mind. One at too great a cost have been worthwhile. Okay. A Pyrrhic victory. Alright, so the only comes I know are the ones where the Wolves achieves a flawless victory. That's when we were playing it. The one where the Wolves achieve a normal victory, that's the middle one. When No. The flawless victory is the one that we're in. The normal victory is the one in this loop where it's Tae-chan and the smart kid. And the Quark victory is the one where Kemi and Mochi are the ones there, because that ends up just becoming a fucking mass murder with only Kemi being alive. Was it related to the feast? Or did I step on some other landmine? I have no idea. That's why I think we have to try challenging the feast a whole bunch more times. Seriously? Yep. What about running off to the forest and having a good time there? We'll die, right? There might be a way out somewhere. Oh, that's true. Then let's search for one. Honestly, I didn't think that would get us any closer to the truth. But it didn't put much effort into protesting either. She'd been in so many feasts that it became traumatic for her. She wanted to avoid going through it again. She didn't want to be more aware of what kind of murderer she was becoming. Alright. I would do this with her until she was satisfied. Even if it was a challenge without a real end, it was worth it as long as she could find peace. We tried using our memories to quickly fix the bike and leave. We tried going through the Saranaga before the mist came. We waited until the mist came and we tried to leave through the forest in full hiking gear I got from the convenience store. No idea why they were because the convenience store will give you anything. Also, Kemi said there wasn't a convenience store nearby, yet there clearly is. So, can we please start questioning the fucking convenience store? In the end, we were engulfed in the mist and died before even realizing it. Or we were engulfed in the mist and died without getting anywhere. In the later cases, Kemi either died by breaking apart again, or we were caught by the monsters. After trying it enough times, we both became used to it. Oh, I'm crumbling again, she'd say, then let's stop, and I'd reply as we aimed our guns at each other and killed one another. Taking advantage of shortcuts like that, we came back over and over and tried again. Nothing seemed to work, so we tried spending a night outside after the mist came. We got rid of the dogs, and with water and guns. I quickly found out that this was a mistake, since Kemi couldn't keep her presence of mind. Unable to bear the tension and fear, she would mumble something about God and either run off or kill herself. Then, no matter what happened afterwards, I ended up killed by the monster-looking thing. Whether the monsters were actually real or not wasn't a problem anymore. I'd already known that any rule breakers would be punished. The problem here was that Kemi still wanted to continue these pointless loops. Let's go there this time. Let's hide here this time. I patiently played along. Being certain that there was no point in this, I played along with her attempts to escape about 50 times. We continued to do this for a while before I told her to let me try something and somewhat forcefully took the lead. What I wanted to try was a feast victory with minimal casualties, and how many days could be passed without murder. For that, we had to figure out what sort of... Okay, so it's not that hard. What you could literally do is you could tell Kemi, tell the spider, all right, Kemi, we know who the spider is. I want you to tell the spider who to protect every day. And once we do that, then we'll find out who dies the second day after the loop gets changed. And then we'll just keep having the spider protect the correct person every single time. And then we'll just have them just keep voting for each wolf out and see how quickly we can just end it. And just try to get them, just like flat out go, vote for them, that's a wolf, get them, don't listen to them, get them. For that, we had to figure out what sort of rules govern the Guardian assignments. I actually had an idea for how it worked. The first time, the time I was a snake, the time I was a wolf, and the time Kemi had first become a wolf. Over them all, I noticed that there were trends, such as Kemi's tendency to become a wolf or Mochi's tendency to be a monkey. To find out what nature are these trends, I wrote down the Guardian distributions I knew on a table. First, I tried putting the names in order, then writing down their guardians, but I didn't find any patterns there. Then I had the idea to try basing it on their dwelling locations, and bingo! The monkey was obviously dependent on where the people lived, and they didn't change much across loops. It was clear that Takumi-san tended to get the snake, and I'd gotten it instead of him that time because our houses were close together. The same could be said about Kaori-san and Yoshigitsu getting the crow. Basically, the guardians were given out to the houses rather than the people. I was familiar of a way of allocating data that changed slightly, but not by a lot. I knew a means to bring about such results. A ghost leg lottery. A ghost leg? Let's see if that's a literal thing. I need to find out that's a literal thing. A ghost leg lottery. Ghost leg. Okay, here we go. Ghost leg is a method of lottery designed to create random pairings between two sets of any number of things, as long as the number of elements in each set is the same. As long as the number of elements. So the more time we change the elements, okay. This is often used to distribute things among people, where the number of things distributed is the same as the number of people. For instance, chores or prizes could be assigned fairly and randomly this way. Okay. It wasn't a completely random method. Even if you used tons of lines, the results wouldn't split up properly without intent. And even if there were new possible options, the results wouldn't change without removing or adding new lines. Even if you added 2 or 3 new options to a ghost leg lottery, you would add them to the right and then add a few branches, and that would leave the left side mostly unaffected. 2 or 3 lines would just shift the result a bit to the side, but not much further than that. That had to be it, right? As in, someone held a ghost leg lottery to decide who got which guardian. Alright, so from what I've seen from it... Okay, so from his explanation here, my guess is you've got a number of assignments. You have a number of roles that need to be given out. And you've got the people... Covering the middle of the lines, the player chooses the start point. The lines are then revealed and then chosen the start pointer. So this is... Let's see, can I get a good example? What? Why does that keep going to... I mean, he might just show us what it is.
Hello.
Okay, if they don't explain it, I'm going to literally just pull up a video and I'm going to watch it. That theory in mind, I sought out the particular person. Hey, Mochi. Okay, so they're not explaining it. All right, hold up then. Let's see.
Hello, this is
Oh God.
a one-person studio here. So this is episode
Oh my
14
God.
of my
Get a better mic, bro.
game, where I solve easy algorithmic puzzles, and we're gonna start with this one, Ghost Legs. So I have to use loops, conditions, and ASCII odds to complete this puzzle. So if I click on loops, it will tell us what it does. So this is a definition of loops. So a loop is a programming structure that we.
All right, hold up. I need to find something better here. I need to find something better than this. What the fuck? Come on. Because now I'm just really want to know what the fuck this is. Let's see. I mean, I see it, but I want to know how it actually works. That's why I'm going to YouTube. I want to see how it works. How is there nothing that just explains it? Huh. Like, you figured there'd just be just an explanation. Okay, maybe this will?
Draw a line and solve this puzzle.
Oh God, AI voice.
What about this one? Draw 3 lines.
All right, so it's just the thing goes down the line, and every time it hits a line, it just moves over. But that's a puzzle. That's not a lottery. Unless there's a specific way of setting it up where everything gets distributed. What? Ghost Lake Lottery. Known in Japan as Amekiju, and in Korea, not even going to say that, is a lottery game used in a similar fashion to drawing straws. In a Ghost Lake Lottery, one of several vertical lines is assigned or chosen by each participant, and horizontal lines, legs, are randomly connected between each vertical line. Or the ghost leg diagram is already drawn, but the portion with the legs is covered so participants cannot see them, and they choose vertical lines. Okay, so it's then how does it guarantee who gets what based on their house then? Once each participant is assigned to a starting point, they must follow descending or ascending if the starting point is selected from the bottom path where the turn is taken to every leg. Yep. The ghost leg is often used to distribute things among people. Since unlike random chance games such as rock, paper, scissors, the format ensures each person will be matched to one item at the other side. Yeah, okay. An arbitrary number of things will always have a corresponding thing at the... Yeah, because each one has its own line that goes down. So no matter how many times they crisscross, you'll always get something that works. Huh. The ghost leg is a puzzle. The entire board is shown. The player must choose a winning path or take actions based on the movement. Okay, but so having the actual explanation to the ghost leg lottery doesn't really explain how being in the same house gets you the same thing most of the times. Because let's say they added on extra lines, and then you would also have to create random legs between them. So you would make it so the people near the beginning almost always have the same ones, but only the people near... I mean, that part of what he said is true. Well, I'm assuming because each person has their own line. So at the beginning and end of every line is a guardian
and a human. So I'm guessing they have it set up where it's like each of the guardians, then all the humans, and then the last 3 people are the wolves, because Mamiya-san was in the one game and she ended up being a wolf, and I joined at the end of last game and became a wolf. So it's seemingly whoever is last to join has a higher chance at being wolves. So it's probably all the guardians, all humans, and then wolves. So that's why the wolves ended up kind of changing a lot, because Kemi ended up being a wolf a good amount of times. She was a wolf in her first run, and she was a wolf in our second run, which means they didn't expect Kemi to be there and had to add her as the last line and just add some legs to connect her to it. Oh, if anything, that doing this. Okay, so that's, I'm guessing how. Okay, so now that's a good explanation for how that's happening. That the new people always have a higher chance at being wolves because the wolves are always written at the very end, and they just do the guardians, then humans in the middle, and the humans can just keep expanding because it doesn't matter. Okay, and that's probably why, like I said, new people have a higher chance at being wolves than older people. It's weird, however, that somehow it's always dodged Miko, though. He's saying it has to do with the houses, but it doesn't. Like, it's not like, because Kemi never changed houses. So unless her particular house, like, I guess if it's not, because if it's not started on the person, it has to be based on people, not houses that they're in or rooms that they're in. Because if it's based on the rooms, it wouldn't make sense. Because then it would always be the people who are in these rooms would always have the higher chance at being, like, why would the shack, the random shack that I hold up in, have a chance at being a wolf then? Unless, like, it went, like, skewed really far to one side. Huh. Anyway.
Well, you want to know my nickname?
Ignore that and just look at this. It's a popular puzzle. Can you write down a ghost leg lottery with these results? I want you to make it so that removing this line does this and adding a line here does this.
What? I have no idea how to do that.
Just whatever feels right to you.
Oh, like this?
He actually met the conditions perfectly. How like him. Like hell, a puzzle like this could be popular. His talent for getting the answer right without proof actually scared me. It was a talent that could turn society on its head, but that wasn't important at the moment. To see whether the ghost leg lottery was usable, I attacked the Nasato mansion once more. Specifically, I broke the windows the day before the mist came, and he was so scared that he just returned to Kamba Fujiyoshi the next morning. Wait, he's allowed to leave, but we're not? My theory was that the lottery began with the settlement's upper region. That was why adding new people to the empty houses affected the guardian assignments, while Kiyonosuke continued to be a human every goddamn time. Thus, without him, the roles would have to change drastically. With these conditions, I tried a case in which Mamiya-san and Hashimoto-san both died, while I took the Gensan dude's place. The Gensan dude's place? What? I ended up being the snake, while Kemi was the badger. The wolves ended up being Yoshigitsu-kun and Mochi. Yoshigitsu and Mochi. The ghost leg lottery was completely accurate. Yeah, so everyone else can leave except for me and Kemi. Because me and Kemi just tried a whole bunch of times where we leave before the feast starts, and we always end up back in the loop. But Kiyonosuke can just fuck on off? Alright, well, then I guess the only thing that matters for the feast is us. We could actually get everybody else to leave, so it's only me and Kemi, and see if that ends it. That would be a good ending. Nobody else is here except for me and Kemi. There's only 2 people.
So we have to be wolves, which means we don't have to kill anybody. Game over. I also tried looking at how the distribution worked before Miko came, and apparently there was a human missing in the middle. That confirmed that the Guardians weren't handed out by supernatural force, but through this ghost. I still don't understand how or why, or I would need you to literally... I would like them to literally whip out the puzzle and show me how this happens. But since they're not doing that, I'm just going to say, sure. Using this, I could also create lots of patterns. By changing my residence, I could get whatever guardian I wanted. A good one would allow me to get through it without any problem. At that moment, I excitedly told Kemi that the feast was as good as ours. I never forget the dead eyes she looked at me with.
So, when'll it end?
I finally realized that... Bro. Really? I finally realized that I made a huge oversight. Kemi had passed her limit long ago, and I'd forgotten that my sense for such things was in a different than normal person's. I wanted to clear the feast with a minimal number of deaths to find out how many days could go by without a murder. It required an agreement of all participants. It wasn't something I could do by myself, and I needed Kemi to try with me. I didn't mind looping about 100 times more. She, however, didn't want to loop ever again. Well, too bad, bucko. We're going to do it as many times as it fucking takes. You wanted to run the random stupid loops. Now we got to do the important ones. Fuck you. No, that's what I'm saying. Kiyonosuke did leave before the mist. We threw rocks at his house, and he left. We've literally said that we tried leaving with Kemi, getting on the bike before the mist came, and we tried leaving as well. And this goes, nope, we threw rocks at Kiyonosuke, and he just yeeted it. He just left, went right back to the main town. So once again, only me and Kemi seemingly cannot leave. Kiyonosuke could. We could just wander back into town, and no one would give a shit. But the mist would end up bringing us right back anyway. But Kiyonosuke could just fuck off and leave. We did say we did try leaving before the mist came one time. When we fixed the bike and just left. Anyway. She tried weird things before because she wanted to try a method that could let her win quickly and easily, even if it was absurd. In her eyes, my plan to loop hundreds upon hundreds of times in case of a trial and error was simply unacceptable. Really? Well, that just means we're gonna loop again, you fucking idiot! Oh my god. Kemi, why do you suck? She wanted to kill me, and so she shot me in the front.
Haruki-san, what if the winning move is to kill you 100 times?
Yeah, but now she knows this! I realized that I never considered the threat that Kemi... So, wait, so that's permanent game over then? Because Kemi's just gonna keep freaking the fuck out? So what, we have to kill her first right away? Be like, alright, well, Kemi's dead. Now we can fucking do this right again. I realized that I never considered what a threat Kemi with memories could be. Yeah, but now it's over because we gave her the memories. There's no taking it back. The corks, the genie's out of the bottle, buddy. I was killed over and over again. Over and over. Sometimes she'd kill me right upon seeing me in the darkness of Saranaga or the dining hall.
Ha ha ha! So this is so damn fun. Your expression is so new to me. I love it.
Sometimes she acted out events like I'd remember them, then grinned and killed me when I was completely defenseless.
Did you forget? Too bad. Kemi-chan, Dark Edition, is still alive.
Apparently, she didn't remember things until I provoked it somehow. That must have been because the number... Ah, of course. She just didn't remember it till I provoked it. That's how you're getting around. That's how you're loopholing out of this? You caught us in a fucking thing you didn't want to get us out. You let us do something, and you didn't want to fucking follow through on it, game. So now you're like, well, we're going to lock you out of this, but we're going to let you keep the memory. But only if you remind her will she remember this. Bullshit. Fuck you. This should literally be me and Kemi actually doing these fun things. Not thinking about these fun things, and then you literally locked yourself into a loop, and now are trying to back out of it. Fuck you, cowards. Anyway. This must have been because the number of loops she spent alone was way lower than the number of loops since we started sharing memories. Her loop count was probably way over 100. She was a whole lot more damaged than I first thought. Oh, but
After she killed me 63 times, it finally got to me. I started fucking killing her back. I've been attacked in Saranaga about 20 times now. Half of those times, she just blasts me with both shotguns at the same time, just like this time. Otherwise, she'd use traps or feints to corner me, then finish me off. So, she had no idea how to handle a situation in which I survived her first shotgun blasts.
No, why?
No, what? How do you think I feel about getting killed over and over? Honestly, not even I'd expect to find a bulletproof vest in that convenience store. Okay, dude, come on. It's magical. It's the god. The convenience store lady is a god. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Come on. Please question the convenience store lady. Oh, hello, I'm Haruki. I'm this really smart guy. I'm gonna pull random things out of my ass just because the story needs to continue. Hey, how about you question why this convenience store literally has anything you want all the time? Nope, not gonna do that. It didn't protect me completely, though. I just kept my torso from being blown to pieces. My ribcage was shattered and the internal injuries were undoubtedly fatal. Still, I had enough life for me to catch her off guard and fight back. Why didn't you just get a gun and shoot her the fuck first? Kemi-chan, how do you want to die? Aw, man. This was so satisfying. What do I do next time, though? What would she do to me after this? Will this just continue forever? This might have been an actual dead end. Man, you're such a damn pain in the ass. Okay, so there's literally... Okay, so in the original timeline, where we don't come to the town as a town member, is now completely and utterly locked out for us. However, what are we going to do in every other timeline we show up and Kemi kills me again anyway? Or are you going to be like, oh, well, you didn't trigger it this time because she clearly knows it's me as I show the fuck up across the Saranaga. So she'll know it's me. Like, what the fuck is this shit? So, like, this really is an end. End of the line for me this time. Sorry. She could still breathe. My consciousness faded out about the same moment as I delivered the final attack. The next loop came. I entered Yasumizu through Saranaga and encountered Kemi, just like always. This time was different though. She didn't have any weapons. Kemi didn't attack me or run. She just vacantly looked at nothing in particular. Nice to meet you, Kemi Sarazawa. I sat down next to her. Nice to meet you, Haruki Fusashi-san. One mechanical response. Saying each other's names on our first encounter had become common practice since we started sharing memories of the loops. However, neither of us said anything more this time. It was awkward. I felt like we just had a fight. I mean, you literally did have a... How about... Just fucking dome her already. Boom! Alright, cool. Now it's my turn. You good? You know how I said I wanted to do a bunch of different loops to do trial and error? And then you just fucking murdered me for another 60 goddamn loops? What the fuck, Kemi? We could just have been doing the progress ones. And we would have kept doing things normal. But no, you had to go fucking psycho on me. God damn it. How about you get the fuck out of my loop, huh? Well, not like we hadn't. What is it? Are you mad? I don't have a reason to be. Yeah, but you are mad. The pain in the ass hurt a bit to hear. Hey, don't get teary on me now. And I fought back only once. There was no love in the way you killed me. Now that's a fucking quote. Well, I didn't mean for there to be any love in it. And I don't know how I'd feel if you told me that after any of your kills. I know what you mean. I got so carried away. Killing you helped me forget the feeling of isolation. How? How? What do you mean how? What do you mean? What? I can kill you countless times and do whatever to you, so I thought you'd forgive me and... No, motherfucker! No! That's not how this works! That's never how this works! Don't go fucking psycho and murder a person 100 fucking times! Jesus fucking Christ! Fuck you! Absolutely fuck you! We're going with fucking the spider lady every fucking time. No longer. Rikako all the way. Fuck you. Absolutely not. Jesus Christ, lady. Even if we escape the loop, I don't fucking want you anymore now. Fuck that. And that's just awful. Sorry. Last loop I realized that I really was being a pain in the ass.
But you only saw this whole thing in terms of your own goal.
What? Whatever. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
What?
It wasn't our goal to you. I'm just a character to you, and all that matters to you is whether I'm useful or not.
I only said that because I was pissed, but that's it.
That's a lie. You lie so much. I finally realized you scare me, even more than God. Being hurt, killed, or simply glared at by you scares me more than anything. That's how much I love you. Oh, no!
I really like this game, but this part here really sucks. This part really sucks. Fuck you. Murders me a bunch of times while I'm trying to help figure out how a way to probably solve at least solve a way where a lot less people can die, so maybe we get a good ending. And you're like, no, I just felt better killing you a bunch of times. It made me feel really close to you, and killing you was my good way of being comforted. I was just grinding you for a couple 100 hours. Oh, well, once you got mad at me, I realized I probably shouldn't just keep killing you sadistically every fucking time. And after killing you the first time, I probably should have went, yeah, sorry for that. I just wanted to kill you because I got mad at you. But now that I see I shouldn't have done that. You should have realized after the first time you fucking killed me to stop killing me. Shoot her again, man.
You're scary because I love you, and I love you because you're scary. I want to kill you because I love you, and I love you so much I want to kill you. I know that's weird, but that's what I realized. I really do love you. No. This is bad. This is really bad. But it's a feeling that's not mutual at all. That wouldn't have changed even if I wasn't killing you, right?
What the fuck is this?
Stop with the You always say that before telling a lie. You're not going to eat?
I have a bunch of allergies.
What did you mean by?
I already tried it. It's just something random I thought up on the spot. You'd be surprised how convincing mysterious words can be. I'm Haraki Fusashi, a graduate student in Tokyo College.
Hey, who are you really? A student, a doctor, a detective, or just a murderer? I don't know anything anymore. I love you. I want to kill you. You scare me. I want to be close to you, run away from you, become one with you. I want everything you are, but I can tell you don't want that. But I don't.
I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
But I don't know what'll happen after I figured out maybe just killing you over and over would keep me happy, even if it scared me. I always thought this was hell, but maybe it's actually heaven. Killing me isn't heaven, you psycho bitch.
I pushed her into the river.
What are you doing?
I grabbed her by the throat, and I held her down until the bubble stopped. I then said to myself, all right, well, next loop.
No. What are you doing?
Kissing you. What?
I mean the pushing.
Well, I just thought, what the hell's this girl who killed me dozens of times saying? And I figured I had to get back at you somehow. Okay, repeat after me. I won't do what people don't want me to do.
I won't do what people don't want me to do.
Just so you know, I don't like being killed over and over, so find her a better way to express your love.
I'm sorry.
Now, I'll look back at all that as an expression of love, and I don't hate you. You should. I like how you should not.
Really? I mean, no, I won't let you fool me. If that's true, why you've been calling me just Kemi after we started sharing memories?
You noticed?
I did.
Because liking someone and dating them are two different things? I do like you, but I'd say your compatibility is our compatibility is the worst. Or maybe too good? If we're together for long, we'll just become more and more insane, even after we just get out of here. Well, there are societies where you can get a bit by being a bit weird, but I think that we both should look for someone more normal. True. And I kind of got close to someone else.
Rikako-san?
Yeah. And no, not Haru-chan. No, fuck you. No,
Yeah, and
Haru-chan.
when did that happen?
After you killed yourself.
Oh well. Basically, you want to choose someone other than me, even though neither of them knew about you now.
Yes. Also, thanks for resubbing, VC for sure. 4 whole months in the portal potties. That's not it. That's just I ended up. That's not it. Let's try that again. That's not it. It's just that I ended up providing them really awful deaths. After that, I've been left with feelings of guilt and desire to at least make them happy next time around. And it'd be insincere to choose you while I still feel that way, right? Yes, please do not choose Kemi. Whatever you do, do not choose Kemi. Dear fucking God. She just killed you 63 times because she's like, oh, this is how I express my love. No. Like, flat, nope, not having that happen. If we're out of the loop and you pull out a fucking shotgun on me and I'm dead, I'm just fucking dead. So, no, you fucking take the smart kid and shut the fuck up, and that's the hole you dug yourself, okay?
About as insincere as pushing me down and kissing me.
That kiss was payback for all the murders.
Then, okay, fine. But really? My lips are enough for that?
The taste was great.
Eek.
I remembered something. It's about the quiz you gave me. You being a thirsty perv is a bad answer, you innocent little girl.
You dummy. I'll kill you. I won't kill you. Date me already. Be my darling. And become my first.
Yeah, nope, that's it. This is exactly what I wanted. I love this mix of happiness and embarrassment. This sustains me.
Then,
no. If I do that, then you'll find happiness in this looping hell and start wanting to leave it.
I don't mind that.
Like hell? That's not how you were at the start, right? The looping warps people. Even I was no exception a couple of times. Even if you can tough it out, dying hurts, and it's something no one wants. Drop everything, adopt Miko, and live the good life. Yeah. Even if this goes on forever and we keep dying over and over, maybe even at each other's hands. I'm not confident I can keep liking you in that scenario. You can't deny that either, can you? As long as the loop continues, we won't expire due to old age and just pile memory upon memory as we do. Imagine if we end up hating each other. This would become true hell. I mean, she technically just did that to you. My god damn.
I don't want that. I really don't.
What a crybaby.
Shut up, psychopath.
A murderer just called me psychopath. Anyway, I'll try to stay honest from now on. I can't date you while counting on to escape, so that's not, on an escape that's not yet in sight. Thus I said it.
Is this what it means to be heartbroken?
Yep.
No, huh?
Nope.
Oh. Sorry for killing you so many times.
I got my payback. Sorry for killing you the last time. It was just one more time, but it was really... It was just one more time, but it was really cruel. No, it wasn't, bro. Stop.
I was so scared. No, you weren't scared because I killed you. You were scared because you thought I didn't like you anymore. Which, after being killed 63 fucking times, I shouldn't. Sorry, I've been a pain in the ass.
Sorry for not being more considerate.
I won't do that again.
I do enjoy the attention you give me, though.
Really?
Really. You should really think about whether you want to kill or date me.
You're right. I had so many dreams of murder that I forgot what's what. I want to forget everything.
Let's go to the Hanging Pine and jump into Saranaga. Head first like this.
Why?
Maybe the head trauma will help us forget what we don't want to remember.
I like that. It's like a couple suicide.
Really might have been insane. Or maybe that could have been said about everyone who was in love. No, you're insane. She's insane, at least.
You can't see the bottom from here.
Yeah,
Can we really die if we fall?
I'm pretty sure we will.
What if we fall on a flat part of a cliff and survive and suffer?
You got any other ideas, Kemi?
Well, maybe we'll fall into the same spot if we hug each other.
You hopeless romantic. Huh?
What's wrong?
At this inappropriate moment, I realized something. I just had a thought that I should be the one at the bottom and take the brunt of the impact.
Wow, you're going to protect me? But then I won't hit my head and forget, right?
That's not what I mean.
It's not?
I just figured since I can loop back if I die.
That's not right. I mean, I'm the one who's going to loop back.
Exactly. I've been going through this while ignoring one of the main issues here. From my perspective, I obviously don't remember what happens after I die. Huh? From my perspective, I obviously don't remember what happens after I die. And I always go back to the start after just the... I obviously don't remember what happens to me after I die. You clearly do. And I always go back to the start after just a moment. But now that I think about it, the same is true for you, right? Because we don't have consciousness when we're dead.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, you told me about things that happened after... that's... Yeah, of course... Yes, you don't remember things you weren't there for. Yes, that is how that works. Yes. You told me about things that happened after I died, so I was like, huh?
Exactly. We talked about loops in which either of us weren't present, but we still don't know the condition that actually causes the loop to reset. I thought that everything after my death was just wouldn't happen.
Same here, but we proved that it's not how it works.
Then when does the world loop back?
It has to be some sort of day, like our starting point, right? What's the longest you survived?
The feast back then ended in 4 days, so it probably 10 days or 2 weeks. Wait, hold on. I feel like I survived way longer than that.
My longest is a week, but now that I think about it, it could happen a while after we die, like a year.
Yeah, no matter how much time passes after we die, we won't be able to perceive it.
Yep, for all we know, the world could be looping after billions of years with the ending of the universe.
That's not impossible, but I don't think this is quite that ridiculous. We know that someone is behind all this and that they are creating a loop to bring back the monster. That's why it's hard to believe the loop happens once they fail to do that.
That's true.
That means that if they failed, they would loop back even if we were alive. You ever had that happen? You didn't even know if you were dead or not, but for some reason you loop back?
I did. When Kaori's son went out of control and I happened to survive, I left by bus and...
Same here. It happened when I tried to move to Fujiyoshi and the officer chased me out.
Hell, the same happened when we tried to escape by bike recently.
I forgot about that.
How mean.
Of course, it could be that we just crashed in the mist, but the memories aren't clear, and it's weird that we don't remember this and just one. Yeah. So another thing is, every time we try to leave the mist and try just to leave the area, we get soft reset without knowing we die. We just kind of fade out of existence and start back at the loop again. There must be another trigger to activate a loop.
This is a dream, right? Whose is it?
The sheep had told me that the opponent was a dream wielder. The culprit tries to make their plot come to fruition in the dream.
And if they fail or die, they restart the dream?
That's a clue.
Can we get out? It won't be that easy, huh?
I fell silent. And after looking at the void before me, what do you want to do? Keep trying?
Yeah. But I do want to try falling here at least once.
You masochist.
The memories of all the murders I committed are heavy, and I don't want to keep repeating this. Even if I can't forget it all, I need a bit of change of pace.
Crushing your skull for a change of pace, huh? What if you lose some important memories?
I'm sure it'll be fine. The Haruki and Kemi I know can find out things like your sudden realization just fine.
What if you forget that we know each other?
That'd be good, actually. It'd be a chance for me to make a fresh start with you. This little masochist is pretty hung up on the idea of taking a dive in your embrace here. This might be my last chance for that.
After all, I'd rejected her.
Having a taste of the sentimentality behind a couple's suicide and actually surviving is pretty insincere, but pretty juicy, huh?
I really like how your mind works in these situations.
Really? You like it?
I do.
Do you love it from the bottom of your heart?
Right before I was about to talk, my mouth was closed shut. Her lips cut my words short.
Mwah.
Not bad.
Get a grip, Haruki-san. If we're gonna forget this, at least spoil me a bit.
There's no guarantee we'd forget it. Oh well. I love you, Kemi. I love you too much.
Man, that sounds like a lie.
Sorry, I seem like a swindler.
Haha, you really do. But I love you too, Haruki-san.
Then,
Yeah.
with the hope of starting anew, forgetting all the nonsense, pain, hatred, and sadness, we innocently smiled at each other. And with shared hope, we jumped off the cliff. Well, we found the cliff, guys. Key 3, distant light. Alright, we found the cliff. This game wasn't peak. It ended up being cliff in the end. Watch the hint corner. Nope. We'll just find whatever key 3 gets used for. Alright, so key 3 was basically just, we know that Kemi loops. The end. Well, we found that Kemi loops and we know how the things were assorted. Alright, so we go back to the chart. Is there any other thing here? Yeah. We've got 2 locks for the outhouse hiding. There's still 2 more we need for the outhouse one. Yeah, follow the scream. Reckless, no. Okay, I don't think there's anything else in this original loop that matters. Yeah, okay. This first loop is completely dead except for when we're in the outhouse, unironically. Probably we're going to use the information that we can use a shotgun and then I guess some way to take out the guy in the wolf costume who keeps killing us. We need 8 and 19. I mean, we can always go back to the oops. What was in the one where we die? What was the one that what was the information we need for Konzo? We needed 20 and we also needed 3. Okay, so we can't actually just jump right back to this one right away. From everyone's perspective, it's me. I came at such a suspicious time and you know nothing about me. You're shady, but that's got nothing to do with you being a wolf. A considerate response. From him? Something wasn't right here. What was I to do here? Got it. Ask Konzu about Haru. That was right. I just remembered. Did my memories carry over in a weird way because the method from back then was weird? You keep saying that. Whatever, bro. Well, then again, this wouldn't be the first time my memories didn't carry over properly. Maybe I should... You keep saying that, but you only say that every time he says this wouldn't be the only time my memories didn't carry over properly. He only says that. Like, every other time, it's dependent on it that we do keep the memories. And the only time he says his memories don't come back is every time he says his memories don't come back sometimes properly. We've never really had an experience where our character just hasn't remembered, unless you're talking about wandering into the mist. There's been plenty of times where we just never keep trying that or something. Anyway, well, then again, this wouldn't be the first time my memories didn't carry over properly. Maybe I should have counted myself lucky for memory at all. I had tons of things to think about. About the beast in the village, the giant monster, the dream enveloping Fujiyoshi, as well as the looping the sheep had told me about. But this wasn't the time to worry about that. The old man before me was the one who'd survived the past tragedies and food. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, this is 2 things that we got wrapped up in the whole Kemi thing, which really kind of sucked. Like, if they just left that part out, if they left out the... Like, if it was me and Kemi, I tell Kemi that we're looping... We tried doing a couple things together, and then I tell Kemi, hey, Kemi,
I know we keep trying to spend time together in these loops, but I don't really want to spend time in these loops. I want to go back to trying to figure a way out. And then Kemi going, well, I don't really want to figure a way out. And you keep saying, well, I do. So let's just use the fact that you know information and I'll keep trying. You don't have, like, we're going to loop no matter what. So you don't have to keep doing things with me. I'm just going to keep trying, and I'll contact you if I find something that might mean it. And I'll keep talking to you in the loops, but whatever. And then she could say, oh, okay, but I just want to do one thing first. Let's just do a suicide. Let's just reset this right now and do a suicide together. Okay, sure. Like the whole her killing me a bunch of times and being like, well, it's because I love you. Like that's I don't care about the loops. That's some serious psycho shit. And that, like, no. With the old, I also want to find out what the fucking old wolf guy knows. With the old wolf guy being a pain to talk to, I had to rely on him instead. But how was I supposed to talk to him? It looked like there was just one way. It's me. Huh? I'm a wolf. Upon hearing that, you're a wolf? He didn't take out his gun. His expression showed nothing but total confusion. I know. From your experience, wolves never reveal themselves. Of course, the humans don't lie. So you can't even imagine why anyone would say something so suicidal. Shut it! He finally pointed his gun at me, but his lateness told me now how hesitant he was. I controlled the pace of the conversation. I revealed this because I'm someone who grew up outside the village. I'm not bound by God's curse. Not yet, anyway. Huh? You don't understand. Okay. Well, just keep in mind that the feasts from before were isolated and didn't have any outsiders. Your experience doesn't apply to a feast with outsiders. Don't be so concerned, though. I mean no harm. I sat down on the ground, extending my hurt leg forward. Shoot me if you want. Though I'm sure you're aware that a murder without a majority's approval is against the rules, even if it doesn't break the 1 per day law. Wait, what do you mean now it doesn't break the 1 per day law? Of course it would break the 1 per day law. Because apparently that counts when Kemi killed someone. She wasn't a wolf and it counted when the corruption came for her. Oh, I guess it doesn't. Okay, so he could just shoot me even without the hanging, but that wouldn't break the rules? I figured hanging is the only way to not break the rules, but I guess not. Okay. I figured just shooting me would break the rule. It doesn't matter. Anyway. I confirmed that during my looping with Kemi. Sure. Get to the point. There's no point. I just feel bad for you. Huh? I had to apologize to Kaori's son and Haru-chan for this timeline. It must be awful for a grandfather to have to kill his granddaughter. I wouldn't want to be the only survivor in such an awful situation. It's too heavy a burden. That's why I came here to talk to you. What did you just say? It must be awful for a grandfather to have to kill his granddaughter. Huh. He didn't fire, but sent a solid kick flying at my solar plexus, knocking me the wind out of my lungs. You're a wolf. You gotta be lying. That's... cause I wouldn't have revealed myself at all. Well, I understand though. I'm a wolf, and all I'm saying is true. Then why'd you say it? Will you get it if I say this? If you don't want to kill your granddaughter, kill everyone else. Another kick. It came from my face and hit my head, making me see stars. I'll hang all the wolves, even my granddaughter. Yeah, I thought you'd say that. I don't mind if you choose that. But, are you really sure? I'm putting my life on the line here. And it's only because I want to open up to you. So could you please respond in kind? I just want to understand before I die. That's why I want to ask you something. Specifically, about your experience in the previous feasts, and whether you'll sacrifice the laws that have supported you or your granddaughter. Please tell me, Kanzo Makashima-san. I can't trust you. Of course he couldn't. But he couldn't ignore or kill me either. Why not sit down? I can't move right now, and we still have time. He silently sat down right before me, cross-legged. The conversation was slow and sporadic. He asked if I and Haru-chan really were wolves over and over again. Well, what he was mostly conflicted about was whether or not to harm his granddaughter after all. Thus I said this. I'm relieved. What? You're actually conflicted about this. Haru-chan didn't hesitate to murder the moment she became a wolf. Really? Yep, Kaori-san too. I was against it and I almost died because of it. Anyone becomes a wolf ends up a wolf to the core. Even Haru? Why? You were human in the other feasts, right? Can you tell me more about them?
Thus, he started talking. He participated in 2 feasts in the past. This was his 3rd. But as far as he knew, there was another feast before that. It happened about 60 years ago, shortly after he was born. The mist came and many died. It coincided with World War II. Youths from both Kama Fujiyoshi and Yasumizu were drafted to the battlefield, so most of the ones who died in the feast were elderly, women, and children. After that, Yasumizu, which once had dozens of people, quickly deteriorated. Deaths weren't the only cause, some just fled. I don't know much about that time, but the elders said it wasn't supposed to happen. What do you mean? No idea. They just said that the wolf should never actually appeared. His explanation was so full of holes that I didn't really understand, so ask him. However, it seemed like until the event during the war, the Feast of the Yomi Purge wasn't considered a paranormal event. Most couldn't believe that the Okami had actually appeared. It shocked everyone. They began to think that they'd angered the mountain. Some of the elderly believed that Fujiyoshi blood spilled in the war had awakened the wolves. It happened just 60 years ago, but it greatly spread the darkness of the local superstition. Apparently, something that happened in Yasumizu at that time helped too. Kanzo-san just said that people were killed, and I couldn't tell whether Kanzo-san didn't know the details or if he found it so detestable he didn't want to say it. Whatever the cause, the main topic of conversation happened a while after that. It was the other 2 feasts, the ones he participated in. He said that there were no mists for a whole 40 years after the feast in the war. The war ended during this time, and though some tried to fix it, Yasumizu was in an awful state. People died, the workforce was lost, poverty became worse, some still living went to work away from home, causing the place to deteriorate even further. However, Kanzo-san felt that the main cause of this awful state was the darkness of superstition clouding the locals' hearts. Kanzo-san could remember how, when he was young, everyone just worked the fields with cloth over their faces, constantly afraid of something. Those cloths were an item used in the Mountain Shinai festival. Their purpose was to prevent eye contact with Yomabito. Though Kanzo-san himself used it to keep the sun out of his eyes and to prevent the game from sensing his vision. But at the core, it was an unreasonable tool born of superstition. Anyway, as the village became more and more unreasonable, the mists came. It happened about 15 years ago. At that time, Tei-san and Kemi, who was still in her first year of elementary school, were participating in an event in Kamafujiyoshi, so they ended up avoiding it? So Kemi is the trigger, I guess. So the war happened, then it didn't happen until Kemi, because Kemi found something. Has this all been them trying to kill Kemi? And they just keep fucking it up? Or did they know she was cursed? Oh, okay. So here's my guess. My guess is that people in town, Kemi found something she wasn't supposed to, and they said she was cursed. Kemi's curse must be the looping, because Tei and Kemi were at an event, so they didn't experience that feast. The next one, Kemi was probably away at college, and then she showed up now, and no one knew she was going to be here, so the moment she got here, she started a loop. And then eventually Miko showed up, and then I showed up. So Kemi's the fucking trigger for starting everything, I guess? Because she's so-called cursed? So either the people of the... So either this is supernatural, and it... Unless... Wouldn't it be funny if they were actually trying to kill her? And that's what it really wants? It's just trying to get rid of Kemi. And they keep failing every time. Except for this one, but the looping thing's happening. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll tell us more. At that time, Tei-san and Kemi, who were still in their first year of elementary school, were participating in the event in Kamafujiyoshi, so they ended up avoiding the incident. The 2 village heads who were in Yasumizu right now weren't here to begin with, while Takumi-san was already an adult working away from home. Haru-chan was born just a year before, and since her parents were on vacation, she'd also avoided the tragedy. They were on a trip away from Yasumizu with a small child? My son's wife was a teacher from a nearby town. She went back to her parents. I see. Wait. Your son's wife is a teacher? Isn't the security guy, isn't the policeman, isn't his wife a teacher? Is Kanzo's son the policeman of the village? Of Yasumizu? Or Kamafujiyoshi, I mean. I see, I'm impressed he's decided to marry someone out of Yasumizu. She was pretty much an outsider, huh? Someone complained about it, especially Teba. You weren't against it? The opposite. I'd rest easy knowing they could leave Yasumizu at this time of year. It was only the time they'd ever escaped, though. Anyway, the only ones who experienced the feast were still alive were Kanzo and the wolf guy. It was a feast like this one. No one wanted to hang anyone the first day, and the wolves killed someone. You had a fake for every guardian receiver. No one trusted anyone, and voted. Go against the rules and you got the corruption. Some tried, they died in the mountains or because they didn't shelter. This feast killed the Higuchi there, Oribe, Yasu's, and Yoshi's dad. I heard about that. He was killed by the wolves on the first day. He was either wise enough for the wolves to see him as a threat, or they just hated him. Both were likely, but I didn't care about that now. Why would a village head come to Yasumizu? He came here by himself to make a proper watering hole. The Higuchi family fought over who'd get this dirty job, and it coincided with the feast? Yeah, once again, this is making me feel like it's the people of the town doing this. Oh, I mean, that could be it. Why did it happen during World War II? Because they could have been experimenting with chemical weapons. Or maybe it's something the Allies did when we were bombing Japan that caused whatever chemical reaction to happen that's causing the mists and all that. And that's when it kind of maybe went apeshit. And maybe that time they were actually doing the feast by its rules. And then after that, the people of the town saw what happened and figured they could use it for something. I still think there's some mundane answer to this. And the only supernatural thing is us looping. Trying to probably, which like I said, I think it's the convenience store is trying to, I think the convenience store is the god, and I think the whole point of the looping is trying to get the people of the town to stop sacrificing the people of the village. That's my guess. My guess is the whole point of us looping is trying to save these people, this town, from constantly having to go through this horrid thing. And this summoning of a monster is some metaphorical bullshit of the people in Yasumizu, like, mining a certain mineral or something. Maybe the thing that causes the mist. This terrible chemical weapon or something. And it coincided with the feast? Was it planned? Many get sent here at a time of year. You're one too. I see, but wasn't it unusual to invite outsiders at this time of year? That's true. It's also the first time a journo came to Yasumizu. Yeah, it kind of sounds like they're trying to get rid of these people. Or, what's his name did say he was a journalist in wartime. That's one thing I haven't found out much about is the big dude. The big dude reporter. Is he here for a different reason? Oh, you take... See, that's why you need to have a poop laptop. Anyway, I gotta turn lights on and take a piss, so I'll be back in a second myself. But yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. But I gotta pee. Be right back. Okay. The fact that outsiders were invited at all was way more suspicious than the timing of it. Yeah, the fact that they were competing over who would make the watering hole, then what's-his-name came here and instantly got sucked up in one of these makes it feel like they started the feast on purpose. Just to kill him. Anyway, about 10 people died in the feast, and Yasumizu lost a third of its population. It was awful. Hanzo's son was just a human without any guardian. Half of the participants were old people who'd either experienced the last feast or were in the war. Naturally, they could make awful, cruel decisions, and some tried to go against the rules, leading to severe punishments at the hands of the corruption. I couldn't do anything. I just hid from the scary stuff and didn't say a thing. The eldest there told me to watch and learn, because I'd be the one running Yasumizu if they died. He got brutalized by the wolves soon after. Who were the wolves? We only found out one of the three. But the last one we hanged was a girl about as old as Toru, my son. Remembering it still gives me the chills. Ere she got the noose on her and fell, that well-behaved girl cursed us with the face of a demon. I knew that feeling as well due to my looping, but I couldn't really say it. After that, we finished up the feast. The old fart's been like that. The old fart's been like that back then too. So the old wolf guy, if my chemical weapon thing is true, he's probably got a heavy dose of it, which is why his mind's all fucked. The old wolf guy, unless he's also been looping forever. When they came back, I told Taba, my son, and everyone else that there had been an accident, but there was nothing to worry about. Little Chi was scared and got all quiet for a while. She even asked me to go with her to the bathroom at night. Takumi came back right after, and Noguchi's wife was sent here with Yazu. She had Yoshi in her. That was the first feast. If I may ask, did something happen in Yasumizu before the feast began? What do you mean? Anything big enough for the village heads to take notice? A few years before that, there'd been an illness here. It was hell. Dozens died, and I was one on the verge too. What illness was it? I don't know. Gave everyone bad diarrhea, though. Was that relevant? And they must have been playing... They all got some cholera. They were just playing Oregon Trail. It's fine. Was that relevant? What about the next feast? 8 years ago, after a bad rain, the mist came again. It started after the landslide and the Sato construction site buried some people. I already knew some things about that feast. During it, the children, Tei-san and Kaori-san, were in Kamafuji-yoshi. Again, somehow people were away, and it killed Haru-chan's parents. Gen-san, one of the survivors, mentioned something about the badger, and Haru-chan somehow survived the mist. Kanzo-san added more information to it. Takumi-san had been working away from home again, and Kanzo-san was the crow. He was absolutely certain that his son, Toru Makashimashi, was a wolf. My son. My son said he was the crow. Tomiko, his wife, cried as my son and I shouted at each other saying that the other was a wolf. In the end, it was a vote. He's the one who ended up hanging. He kept saying it till the end. He said he was the real crow and that I was a wolf. There wasn't a bit of lie in his eyes. If I wasn't the crow, I could have believed him. Back then, only the elders voted for him. And it was really close. I almost got hanged. And someone got brutalized that night. And Tomiko, thinking that I was a wolf, tried to kill me at night and got the corruption because she didn't shelter. The next morning, the mist cleared. What? It cleared though you didn't do anything after the brutalization? Haru-chan's parents? Yeah, so the sudden rain probably caused the mist to fuck up or something. Or they got rid of the people they wanted to get rid of. Haru-chan's parents' final moment sparked some emotions from me, but I had to comment on that. Huh. Was it really a brutalization? Are you sure the wolves didn't mess up and suffer the corruption? No, it was a clean axe kill. How many wolves did you kill until then? Out of the 3 wolves, only my son. I was the crow, so I knew. So the old wolf man could literally just have been a wolf from back then still. The mist cleared with still 2 wolves alive? Was that supposed to be impossible? The feast rules didn't allow that. Wolves could only die during the day, and since one of them killed someone during the night, the wolves had to be alive. Unless his son was a wolf, his daughter-in-law was a wolf, and the person they killed was the third wolf. And then his daughter-in-law who said, "Oh well, I think, oh, you're the, or yeah, daughter-in-law, or did he have a son and a daughter, or whatever?" But his son's wife could have easily have went, "I'm the last wolf. I'm gonna go run out and get corruption and die." And the person they killed was this, and she ended up killing the other wolf just so she could commit suicide in the corruption in the next loop. That would be a perfect kill. Wolves can only die during the day, and since one of them killed someone during the night, the wolves had to be alive. Yet the mist cleared despite that. That was supposed to be impossible. Or maybe it was unnatural to assume that the mist, a natural phenomenon, was directly linked to the feast, a man-made one. If the mist was accidentally somehow controlled by humans, then maybe it wasn't unlikely for it to clear due to some mistake. It would make sense if that happened this time. It would also explain the Gensan thing. If he'd been a wolf and accidentally survived, it would solve the contradiction of Kanzo-san, a human, being alive, while a wolf was able to leave that crucial bit of info. If there was a way to control the mist, it probably wasn't linked to the control of the loop. Still, maybe it was useful to keep this in mind. What about Haru-chan? I only know what I heard. She might have entered Yasumizu the evening my son was hanged, but no one saw her. Huh? The mist cleared after that night? Uh-huh. Had the mist cleared because of God? So the mist ended there, and I called Takumi to help clean up. Then Haru-chan became weird. I told her it was an accident, that her parents got lost in the mist and fell off the cliff. I couldn't say it. I couldn't tell her that her dad was a wolf or that her mom got torn apart, right? Kanzo-san was unusually talkative. The strange wolf before him made the rough, silent old man reveal things he wanted to take to his grave. You were right to do so. Still, the girl lost her parents, so she got weird. Wolf possession, right? That's one thing. She'd also been a good, cheerful girl, and it made her all edgy and selfish. She started wearing those clothes, still carrying around that bottle she's had with her the whole time. I'm not sure about that. Huh? I don't know about the possession, but I feel like the changes in her behavior and taste are just in your imagination. Maybe it's only happened because you built a wall between you and her, and she just did the same. Don't act like you know. I do. We're both wolves. I saw glimpses of her true personality. You'd be surprised how honest she is. I'd almost call her greedy. She's a good, honest girl who takes in whatever she hears and matures like the teen she is. I'd call her talented just for that. I can honestly call her a good girl, a good person, if it weren't for the situation. I'd ask to be in a relationship with her. What the now he's gonna kill you. Then there's you. You were afraid that she might find out the truth, so you distanced yourself from her and refused to give her anything. Right, Kanzo-san? You didn't get mad at me. He just cast his eyes down. This wasn't the energetic, strong hunter I knew, but an old man caught in the throes of regret. What a shame. It was so sad that this would become nothing but a dream. His exchange that could perhaps remove the wall between the old man and his granddaughter would be gone. Oh well, I'd have to solve it all anyway. I tried to fix their family relations too. It wasn't necessary for Haru-chan and I to be wolves for my words to resonate with him. Out of the 3 wolves, only my son. I was the crow, so I knew. She started wearing those clothes and still carried around that bottle she had with her at the time. I also solved a few more mysteries. This was a good time to end it. Now, Kanzo, if you need to go back, everyone's worried. Give me your shoulder, I'll take you. What are you saying? Huh? Your only choice are killing the wolves or betraying the humans and killing them. That's why you can only kill me, or leave me here and kill everyone else. Right? Huh? I know full well that Haru-chan is important to you, but so are the others, right? If you kill Kaori-san and Haru-chan and you'll win this with minimal casualties. By vote or by bullet, I'm sure you can do that. The Oribe brothers, Takumi-san, the elders, and the village heads are blameless here. That's why you have to decide right now. Don't act like you care about whether the feast happens today. Well, I know you'll suffer the corruption if you don't get to the others to agree. But I'm sure that you'll choose to massacre either the humans or the wolves, even if that means getting the corruption. Dying for Haru-chan is an option, and so is killing Haru-chan, but surviving yourself? And I know you won't pick either option. I don't get it. What are you after? Would the sheep get mad at me if I just said I wanted to die quickly and naturally and move on to the next time? That was absolute truth. But the thing I really wanted to say now was, Kanzo Makishima, I need you to be a good person. Please do what you believe is right. With that done, I closed my eyes. After a long period of hesitation, I heard a metallic sound come from his rifle. His breathing was really steady. He made his decision. It'd be bad for me if I just died here and there was no loop. However, I did it sad. I did find it sad that this man's resolve would become nothing but a dream. Key 19, Hunter's Confession. Okay. So, I'm in that first loop, I'm only missing one more key. Okay. Okay, so the only loop I think I can get anything out of now is the middle one. Although I still can't believe we're not using that first loop to get the old Wolfman to find out to find out more about him. That'd be the perfect time to do so. Oops. All right, so infiltration. Is there anything new in the infiltration I can use? No, we've done all that. 20 and 3. Oh, all set. Oh, cool. Yes. Oh, they asked us if we have it like any more information. Okay. Wait, no. Wait, hold up. First, I had to check this place was even usable. Equipment materials are all gone. Talk to Kiyonosuke. There was no running water, but I placed the water bucket. Whoever. Okay. I didn't do this one before because I didn't have 20 until just now. So this is new. Okay. At that moment, my head was flooded with information. It felt like my mind was crushed by a million sheep. Crap, why'd I forget? Did my memories carry over in a weird way because the method from... Okay, he says that every time. But basically, I didn't know it until I did a loop, which is why I don't remember it now. Like, that's all you had to say. Well, then again, this wouldn't be the first time my memories didn't carry over properly. Maybe I should have counted myself lucky for remembering it all. I had tons of things to think about. About the beast in the village. The giant monster. The dream enveloping Fujiyoshi, as well as the looping the sheep had told me about. But this wasn't the time to worry about that. I went back to the Misato mansion. Doorbell. Excuse me. Doorbell. Excuse me. Doorbell, 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 doorbell. In the jingle of the decadent void, the Buddha's corpse shout out, "Ah!" Who's singing the Buddha's ash rock while hammering my doorbell? Me. You. Have you gone mad? What's wrong with you? You were a normal youth until just a moment ago. I'm perfectly sane. And you know the song? What about it? I simply remembered hearing it at the store. Huh? So you don't know the Hinja Slaver? Well, I do. I knew it. Personally, I like... Morimon? Oh, is this like him mentioning an anime or something? I knew it. I like Morimon. What a minor Hinja. Black Dogeza is the way to go... Dogeza is the way to go, starting with part 3. Oh, I really like the part where the 5 black Dogezas gathered and became the black Dogezarian. You're really an otaku, huh? So are you. Grins. Wait, this isn't the time to bond over minor flash movies. You don't have any other business with me, do you? I'm busy here. I have something to tell you. I believe you are someone who should understand. What is it? I will say something absurd now. You might even doubt my sanity. Well, I'm not saying that you can't differentiate between reality and fiction. In fact, you can probably do it better than the average person. However, I do believe you have a decent ability to suspend your disbelief. Wait, what are you getting at? Do you know that movie where someone is repeating... Yeah, Groundhog Day. Someone is repeating the day before the school culture festival over and over? Yes, it was definitely the school culture festival. Oh, that one?
It's a classic. Sure. It's called multicultural. It's called the Ground Festival Day, and it's with everyone's favorite Bill Murashimo. Oh, okay. So what you missed was Konzo explained a little bit more about the what happened in previous loops. We told him to either kill all the wolves or kill all the humans. It doesn't matter. Do whatever he wants for his granddaughter. Had him put a bullet in our head. Then I came back to the middle loop in which Kemi is the wolf. And now we're talking to Kiyonosuke. And it looks like we're telling him that we do have looping powers. But yeah, it's a classic. Sure. It's called the Ground Festival Day with Bill Murashimo. I love Bill Murashimo. Murashimi? There you go. Bill Murashimi. What about it? Something similar is happening to me right now. Wait. Mist will rise from Saranaga in just a few hours. The Feast of the Yomi Purge will begin and many will die. What are you... Wait. Why do you know that term? You will die too. Answer my question. Stop saying ridiculous things. I understand if you don't believe me. I've repeated these a few dozen times now, and with every death I loop back to square one. That's why I know about Yasumizu, including things that no newcomer should know about. You are a doctor of medicine, graduated from XX University, Kamochi Kamoshida is your nephew, and you have feelings for Rikaku Yumatsu. Huh? However, I am sure that's not enough. I could easily have looked that up myself. And what's more, I didn't come here to save you. It's likely that you'll die this time too. But I would like to ask you some things, so I can prevent the feast from happening in another timeline. Are you serious? Yes. Why don't you come to me? Though many feats I've been in, because I can't go to Kemi because she'll just start fucking murdering me. So she's gonna sit off in a fucking corner and just do nothing while I have to do this all on my own because she's fucking useless. Though many feats I've been in, I've come to the understanding that the kind of person you are, your nature basically. And I believe that you're a person who can understand things if they are explained properly. Come in. There. He let me into the well-furnished reception room. The inside was as fancy as the outside. The village heads had to be a really wealthy bunch. Is it not curious? He returned from the kitchen carrying a set of black tea. Sorry for staring. I think it's outdated too. Don't worry, have some tea. Oh, no need. This fuss over me. I'm a poor upbringing, so do tell me if I'm not drinking right or something. I won't mind if you drink how you want. Thank you. Now, was this room prepared by the head of the family from the 3 generations ago? Your great-grandfather? When did you hear about him? Even you are a... How do I put it? A looper. I do not believe an Asato would tell you about the stain of the family's name. Did another village head tell you about it? I did not want to, did not know what he'd want, but he'd be the same sort of swindler. It was you. What? I heard it from you. When you and Chikamochi Kamoshida's relationship became worse, you told him this. You are as much of a madman as your great-grandfather. He closed his eyes and groaned, then laid back in his sofa. I invited you inside out of mere curiosity. But if you know that much, I might even believe you. I need you to, though I don't have anything I could call evidence. Instead, I will tell you of the loops I experienced. It'll probably make it seem more absurd, but I will want you to believe it. Enough with the build-up, get to it. I drank the fragrant tea and spoke. About the time Yasunaga-kun Oribe won as a wolf. About the time Kemi tried to kill everyone, and the time she failed. And even how at the end of that time, Kiyonosuke had for some reason killed Rikaku-san, and then I killed him. Finally, I told him about the time I became a wolf and sacrificed my companions to win, though I kept quiet about the sheep and the giant monster for now. It was hard to think that he was the main culprit behind the loop, but there was no guarantee that it wouldn't leak out somehow. Thus, I only knew him that I was told that I was hanged because Mamiya-san found the flashlight. I also mentioned that Kiyonosuke died too, and that I'd heard of the thing about his great-grandfather then. After about an hour of talk, he stood up to get more tea. He poured it in, and I gladly drank it.
Unlike before, it was herb tea. Tired from talking, I let the pleasant scent of the tea wash away my fatigue and eyed him. He was hanging his head, looking down at the tea leaves floating in his tea. He then took the cup in hand, drank some of it, and looked at me. You're right. That does sound absurd. However, it does seem like something that can happen in this absurd place. You believe me? I'll simply say I'm more interested in this than ever. But the more I listen, the more I wonder. What do you want of me? If you have seen so many feasts, surely you know by now. I am not a man who can do much in such a dire situation. I'll start with something seemingly unrelated, but I don't quite understand that opinion of yours. At first, I thought you were just an arrogant and haughty person. Then I thought you were just a village head antagonistic to Yasumizu. I would only say that you are just a bit of uncomfortable with your hometown, and that you actually have a good discretion and talents. You do absurd things sometimes, but I do believe you look at your decisions from a third-person perspective. It makes me feel like you're hiding your true abilities. I honestly am nearly completely sure that the head families are involved in the feast. That's why I believe you might know something, but are hiding it. That's why I want you to tell me what you know about Yasumizu and Fujiyoshi's secrets. Though, as I mentioned before, there may be more delicate matters here, like the Yumatsu family. Even so, I want to hear everything. I am bad at talking and leading simply because I am that kind of person. As you know, the current head of the family is my older brother. He's a great man of character with immense intelligence and charisma. I've been in his shadow ever since I was young. Whenever I said or did whatever I wanted, he would spin it in a way that was good for me. Because everything went so well with him, I began to believe I was blessed with a great talent. I realized how mediocre I was by the time I turned 20. I realized I was bad at reasoning and generally a nuisance. That's why I left the village, though I couldn't find a place for myself outside either. The only place where I felt comfortable was the Sci-Fi Research Society. It was basically a hangout for gaudy people like myself. Even so, most of them were smart, and even the president, despite his many repeated years, had excellent leadership skills. I became the vice president, and whether I said anything too apprehensive, speculative, or scathing, he would turn it around for me. I know full well that I can't lead. I imagine that the me you know merely tried to be useful to Sir Makashima, Yasunaga Urabe-kun, or Muro. I probably couldn't abandon my pride, even in that situation. A village head like me has to take advantage and whatnot. That's so unreasonable. I truly am a problematic person. Please don't be so hard on yourself. I can see pretty clearly that you're a level-headed person. That's only because you said things so absurd that I felt like opening up to you. Remember how I was before I let you inside? A haughty, aggressive, boring man. Well, even if you are a liar, and everything you said was a made-up, I consider this worth it for the moment of introspection. At least, as long as you don't tell me to pay for your tuition or something. My heart ached a bit. I won't say that, of course. But I was expecting the current him to danger. Wait, what? But I was exposing his current him to danger. Now back on topic, about what you wanted to hear. Unfortunately, the family isn't that interested in me. You mean that? Yes. Though I do know the basics of what a village head should know. I know absolutely nothing about what they do behind the scenes, though. Do you know about the other hostilities between Yasumizu and the Kama Fujiyoshi? No, please tell me. Unfortunately, barely anyone knew about the village and the feast. Or rather, they all converged upon a certain old story. It was a minor bit of knowledge Kinosuke knew as a village head, and he said that Yasumizu had once rebelled against Kama Fujiyoshi. They didn't know what prompted it, but apparently it had something to do with the water used for growing crops. Anyway, the people of Yasumizu invaded Kama Fujiyoshi at night and stole, beat, and killed people. They were all covered in Saranaga's mud to keep from being identified. Kama Fujiyoshi's inhabitants greatly feared their appearance. Thus, after the rebellion, they decided to make things even worse for Yasumizu, and the inhabitants effectively strangled themselves, apparently. I believe this thing about Saranaga's mud is tied to Fujiyoshi's unique perspective on life and death, particularly Yomi. So did the mud and the rebellion make Kama Fujiyoshi believe that the people of Yasumizu were Yamabito? That's not out of the question, but not certain either. Yasumizu and Kama Fujiyoshi had already been segregated, and it wasn't unlikely that there could be a rebellion.
It was likely that the idea to cover themselves in mud was linked to the legend that Saranaga was Yomi and intended to frighten people. I see. So how should we look at this event? For one, it was the reason for the Shanai Festival, the mountain festival that is still held today. They have a tradition to hold a parade of wolves, and it symbolizes the subduement and bringing down of the people of Yasumizu. Have you seen the cloth mask they wear while farming? Yes, it's so that people of Yasumizu don't look into the eyes of the Yamabito. It's the other way around. It's so that the people of Kamafujiyoshi wouldn't have to look into the eyes of the people of Yasumizu, who may or may not be Yamabito. These old unreasonable superstitions are still alive because they crossed the line once. That's what the village heads believe. Saying it out loud, I realize how truly awful it is. Why is such a festival and tradition still alive to this day? That festival might actually be important for Yasumizu. Do you know why? I don't. The wolf parade passes all of the Okiba in Yasumizu, splashes water on all the residents, and meets the village representative in the hall. Tei-san, huh? The wolves would offer some things to the representative, and after taking them for the festival's success, give them a lot of money and other goods. So they isolate Yasumizu economically, and only pamper the place during these festivals? Exactly. You might say that this is just another way Kamafujiyoshi controls Yasumizu. The money and goods are split among the inhabitants, and I hear it really helps them get... Okay. What I'm going to take from here is, when we learned about the ghost leg lottery, the ghost leg lottery is good because if each person can have something tie, so you'll have, let's say every person at the top has their own line that goes down. At the bottom of each line is a portion of prize. That prize, then you connect all the different legs in between everything, and everything randomly bounces following its path, and eventually everyone lands on a random thing at the very bottom. So everybody eventually wins a prize, nobody loses a prize. If they choose how the money and goods are split among the inhabitants, if they do that by using the Ghost Lake lottery, maybe that's the exact same thing that they then use. That same lottery is used for this killing game. So both their fake thing they do and this is real. Or not real, but they're tied together. That might be what they come to. This was only done out of their fear of Yasumizu could rebel again. Just so you know, the Nasato don't approve of this. Only the Migurama are fixated on it, and they are on top of Fujiyoshi. Though the Higuchi are in on it too. They believe that trampling all over Yasumizu is a logical thing to do. What an incomprehensible bunch. So, as far as you know, the Nasato don't approve of this tyranny? Yes, I can't deny that, as far as I know. I'm sorry, I need to make something clear. It confuses me. You said that the rebellion wasn't the result of superstition, but that means that it was not certain if the mountain festival was caused by the rebellion either. Also, the festival and the feast are closely linked. You can even see it in the methods and roles. Well, you mentioned the divine snake was drunk in the feast as well. Are you sure it's not a coincidence? If they donate paper, writing tools, and rope, it would mean that at least the Miguruma know what happens in the feast. Hell, at this point, I'm willing to say it with absolute certainty. The Feast of the Yomi Purge is a severe crime committed by the head families to intimidate and control Yasumizu. I have an argument. You said that the feast involves monsters, doors that unlock themselves, and supernatural punishments. It's a paranormal event. If you are certain that the head families are responsible, I would like a scientific explanation for all the strange events. That's easy. What? Before I get into that, though, I would like to ask something. Can you show me the documents and writings collected in this mansion? I mean, if we smashed open some of the locks on the houses and found there was electronics inside, I ended up being disappointed once. This house had a storage building, and there were archives there.
There had been a lot of documents left by Kinosuke Shi's great-grandfather, but they had been stored after he died. Thus, there was barely anything left, and the record stored was just more general storage. Even so, I insisted upon taking a look, and now I was here. It was really just a place stuffed with various things. I guess there was no lie that the whole mansion really is just a place to stash things.
Yes, but we do have people living here sometimes.
Like who?
The previous 2 heads of the family lived here after they retired.
So your father too?
Yes. He quickly grew senile and died of poisoning.
Is that true? When did that happen?
8 years ago.
That's when the previous feast happened.
What? Oh yes. It happened after the mist. There was a feast back then.
Yes, the official report that people died in the landslide at your construction site must have been a cover for that.
What? Wait, are you saying that my father knew something and died because of it?
It's possible. And then there's the fact that this mansion was used as a retirement home for previous Nasato heads. I think we might have something here. If the Nasato really are against the control structure of Fujiyoshi, that's even more likely.
Let's look. If there's still something here,
it must be hidden.
But the mansion is too large, and we don't even know what we will be looking for.
I'm sure it must be something big. It has to be large enough for the previous heads to hide, write, and research. A secret room.
I have a blueprint of the place.
Alright, I'm gonna get some more water. I'll be right back. I'm getting very thirsty. He found, open it, and we went around the mansion. There was nothing strange here. There were no empty spaces, and I didn't see any discrepancies in the actual building. Some went for the storage building. Oh, sorry, same went for the storage building.
Isn't this a waste of time?
No, but the blueprint isn't fake in any way. There must be something in a place that it doesn't cover.
What do you mean?
Let's check the basement of the storage building.
I see. If there's a secret room in the basement, it would affect the blueprints because it'd be outside their boundaries.
Yes. The blueprint doesn't have to show false information, it just has to avoid showing it.
But that would make the search even more difficult.
Well, he was right, that stifling through the mess down here would take forever. But we could make it a lot easier if we focused on the floor and the walls. I left my bag in the prefab, so I had no flashlight. I asked Nasato-san for something, and he prepared an aged oil lamp. You have all sorts of things laying around, huh?
There's probably a flashlight somewhere, but this suits the atmosphere, right?
I knew exactly what he meant. It took us less than half an hour to find it. Of course, it wasn't something that looked like what we were searching for at first glance, but it did seem a bit unnatural. There was a palm-sized crow carved on a wooden surface below the mortar wall. It was a symbol of the Nasato family.
Is it a clue? Or some sort of mechanism? It's not just a carving. Its parts are separate and movable.
Buttons? So it was like a game? So it wasn't the only Nasato with strange hobbies, huh?
I imagine it expects you to press them in order, but...
Do you know any hints?
The will of the crow.
Offering those at the Fujiyoshi shall be as the will of the crow. That had to be it. So a Nasato can open it easily, huh?
Yes. We never repeat that teaching to anyone who isn't family. If it was made by my great-grandfather, then it must be a trap too.
Seriously? But it's no problem for you, is it?
What was it again? Claw? Feather? Oh no, I'm not sure. Do you remember it?
Hey. Oh, fuck.
I don't know. What are you asking me for?
What do you want? Offering those of the Fujiyoshi shall be the will of... Okay, it's not that. You know what? I'm just going to do this. Just going to save here. All right. There are 5 options. 5 options. Okay. We don't need a loop. We just need to get it correct. All right, chat. I want you to beak, tail, torso. All right, let's go. Beak, tail, torso. I'm pretty sure it's something like devour the beak, tail, and torso. Really? Let's try it. He quickly pressed the buttons as I told him. A moment later, a hole opened up beneath us. Before I could even scream, we fell on metal spikes. Okay. Do 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 do. A moment later, a hole opened beneath us, and we died. Okay. Do 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 do. Hey. And we died. All right. Nope. Trying that again. Do 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 do. Fuck looping. I'll just do this. No, it's dead. Okay, so it was the last one. All right. Fine. It was the last one. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's something like devour the claw, eye, and beak. Really? Let's try it. He really pressed the buttons as I told him. A moment later, a part of the wall turned 90 degrees. It opened up a space through which an adult, though probably not Hashimoto-san, could pass. You like this kind of thing, I assume. Oh, how embarrassing. But I can't help but feel excited myself. It must be in my blood. Don't worry, I feel you. We bantered nonchalantly despite the dire situation. Once we made it inside, we had to pass through some hanging dried herbs. What's this? St. John's wort? Aren't you knowledgeable? It's just some herbs to repel bugs, don't mind it. And it seems you were right. It's a study. It's tight in here, but its length is good. Let's see what we can find. I hope we have records made by previous heads. I found the diary. Really? Let me look. We started looking around. Like we expected, the thick diary had writings left by all the previous heads of the Nasato family. It began with his great-grandfather, and the others added more after their retirements. All of them had strange handwriting, and according to Kiyonosuke, she could make out. It was a highly detailed document and had references to other texts here. You could really tell it belonged to a family of scholars. The index on the diary referred to the documents all over the room, and the diary itself was like a description of what went on behind the scenes of Fujiyoshi. Kiyonosuke-shi's great-grandfather was a genius who gathered immense wealth, but also a madman who threw it all away. His writings were especially difficult to read, analyze, and understand. However, the feeling behind it couldn't be more obvious. It was anguish. Anguish at the fact that he'd found a rational solution and began to doubt the superstitions. The preamble went like this. Why do we submit to Great Lord Shinai? Outsiders would see our beliefs as pure madness. Even so, we take the passion we should direct to our parents and children and instead dedicate it to our faith. That alone would not mean much, but when you see the shadow of Great Lord Shinai over our daily lives, we become fearful and absolutely loyal to him, like we well-trained dogs. This slavery of the mind will still shackle us when we in the era of enlightenment reaches our home. That is why I've decided to take up the will of the crow I so neglected and began my research. I hope that it bears fruit, and mankind, not God, benefits from it, breaking free of the centuries of ignorance. This was written by Kiyonosuke-shi's great-grandfather shortly after his role, and as head passed down when he was still in healthy 40s. Upon reading this, Kiyonosuke-shi looked conflicted. The great-grandfather he thought to be a madman was actually both reasonable and intelligent. I also had something to think about it. He challenged God. that absurd endeavor might have been the reason why he gone mad. The diary had 3 sections. In the first one, the great-grandfather tried to pinpoint the origin of Fujiyoshi. He wanted to find the invisible chains binding him by looking at where they started and where they were going. However, that was difficult. Trying to find documents in Fujiyoshi would have attracted the attention of other families, particularly the Miguruma, who then obstruct his work. Our legends say that we were protected by Shinai-sama. By looking for proof, claiming otherwise, we would be betraying his compassion, and that was the highest form of disrespect. It was also a time when not everyone went to schools, and literacy levels were really low. Thus, most of the records were held by the head families. However, there was no record of one of them trying to check another family's record, and that would obviously be met with opposition. Thus, he looked at the historical documents from outside Fujiyoshi. With the settlement being such a strange place, he figured that there would be many records about it made by outsiders. He was completely right. There were lots of old writings in the nearby villages and towns. Since it was wartime and the economy was so dire, the paper was about to be wasted on fixing siding. He then used his own funds to acquire these precious documents. They were now organized and placed somewhere in the room, but anyway. What? They were now located in the room. He was able to locate Fujiyoshi's roots. It happened 600 years ago, during the Muromachi period, a bit before the Sengoku. According to the documents, the place known as Kamafujiyoshi began as a hunter settlement. This place was a hunting ground for centuries. Game meat had only spread among the common people during the Meiji period, but the country folk had been eating it for long before that. At first, it was a settlement of cabins for the hunters from nearby villages to rest or shelter, and places to skin and prepare meat. But once the people realized how rich the area was in game, they began colonizing the place. As a result, a part of Kamafujiyoshi was born, and the people began living here as either farmers or hunters. The settlement had no name yet. However, these extremely old documents refer to it as Okami Village or something similar. Not Okami as in Okami-sama, but as Okami as in wolves, the canine beast. Apparently, the place really had wolves before. Not mountain dogs or badgers, but actual wolves. That was no secret though. Then the Shinai Shrine run by the Miguruma had actual wolf bones in it. However, according to the documents, during the settlement's development, the place was often attacked by wolves that caused major damage. They probably tried many things to deal with them, but the documents wrote down one very simple method. The people of the wolf village prepared a human sacrifice and consigned them to flame. Human sacrifice? It was a practice that existed in Japan for a long time. During construction or whatnot, people would be killed and buried as offerings to prevent misfortune. I'd heard of human sacrifices made to prevent bridges being taken away by floods or people buried during castle fortification. It was a pretty big deal. Still, it wasn't weird to do it to prevent a beast-related problem. It didn't seem like a plausible story, so I was surprised. Neither of us were specialists, but from what I knew, people tried to benefit from sacrifices by later on worshipping them as gods. I'd even heard of the pillar, kanji, used to count gods was based on the term for human sacrifice. Anyway, following the sacrifice, the beast's attacks subsided and the settlement continued to grow. At this point, the upper settlement was what's known as Okami Village, now Kamafujiyoshi, was surrounded by cabins and other settlements. Through irrigation, these settlements gathered water from the wolf village. One of these settlements was a dangerous place that was often covered in mist that led people to their deaths, and for some reason, the locals found it really important. Okay. So only a specific area was causing these mists to happen. Kiyanosuke Shi, his great-grandfather, and myself figured that it had to be Yasumizu. And if they took water from Kamafujiyoshi, it wasn't hard to imagine that the hierarchical relationship between the settlements had already existed then. In agricultural societies, the settlements that controlled the supply of water were extremely influential. After all, if they stopped the flow, the settlements below would dry out. It was even related to the Yasumizu rebellion that Kiyanosuke Shi told me about. I couldn't ignore this point. though there was no mention of Yasumizu or the local superstitions yet. All that the documents said was that the wolf village was steadily progressing as a settlement. However, there was a mention of a fearsome beast yokai or god that ate people. Though it was only mentioned in the oldest documents, they never heard from again. A god? A powerless god. That's not enough. The legends don't say anything about... Wait. The Badger. Do you hate that name?
Not at all. Not at all. It is not wrong in the least. It is a fitting name for someone wearing the marks of Great Lord Shinai and acting as a leader of these mutts.
So why not try joining me? My land may be small, but I will make sure you are not bored. It had to be God. She said that she was defeated by Great Lord Shinai, but never mentioned when it happened.
To the left side of the kanji for God, there's a radical for show, and even more obvious is the old form. This means that the result for Okami, great God.
I was close to the truth, but for now, back to the history. Fujiyoshi had started out as your typical hunting farmer settlement. The things changed after about a century, when life in the settlement had stabilized. By this point, the records left by the outsiders started noting that there was a strange village in the mountains. The sources had started to become many and varied too. I was curious about how the great-grandfather got documents from Kyoto and Tohoku, yes? But anyway, these reports were records written by travelers who'd stopped here. Many of them were interested in the local customs. One was their hate for mountain fires. It was so bad that outsiders weren't allowed to make any flames, and they themselves had a special watering hole where they did it. One was their worship of a humanoid wolf statue. They asked it for good fortune in the hunt and peaceful life in the mountains. One was a special misty place where travelers were summoned and welcomed by sensual women, which is where the spiders people came from. Some rumors mentioned seemed hardly believable, but some of them were still alive, and I was surprised to know how old they were. What bothered me was the fact that there were many records of the invitations to the misty place, but nothing about getting killed there. In fact, both of them mentioned eating good meat and veggies and drinking good sake and having fun with beautiful girls. It was safe to assume that the Feast of the Yomi Perch hadn't existed back then. It was closer to the traditional treatment of guests as described by Rikaku-san. By the way, you seem pretty hung up on guests. Is there some sort of local culture related to that?
Yes, I hear that. Fujiyoshi was once full of visitors who came to the Shinai Shrine to pray for good hunting. Hunters from the outside were considered honored guests and treated kindly around here.
However, there was one thing she seemed to be wrong about. The strange village in the records was a completely different place than the one built around the Shinai Shrine she spoke of. In fact, there wasn't a single mention of Shinai at this point. The general area here was marked as Kachihara. Would things change if we continued further? Anyways, we kept reading. Such records continued for 2 to 3 decades, but then there was a period that wasn't recorded at all. Apparently, the travelers who made their way to the area started being chased out, and that was it. The settlement suddenly became isolated. Without any documents from the village itself, it was hard to know exactly what happened during this time. But according to the Nosato documents, this time period was how far they could trace their lineage back. After that, the settlement showed up in the records another century later. It was the middle of the Edo period, peaceful times, and the amount of records appeared to have exploded, along with the name Shinai. There is a hidden mountain where the people worship a wolf-faced god and prosper because of it. It is said that the hunters who do not pay their respects to him get lost or injured in the mountains. It is a spiritual place that a mountain aesthetic could visit at least once, or should visit at least once. Their prayers seem to heal. All. There are oracles who can predict the future with great accuracy. The non-believers who step on the mountain are in for a terrible fate. The name of the god they worship is Shinai, and the village is called Fujiyoshi. So that's it? I lurched forward and shouted with excitement. True, I did hear that this village was once called Fujiyoshi, but what's so important about that? It's the same trick with the name Shinai-san. When you take apart the kanji for Shinai, you can rearrange them into Okami, great god, which is also phonetically identical to wolf. Oh, you're right. Hey, wait. When you mean this is the same, look at the name Fujiyoshi. The first kanji contains the radical for dog. Dog covers the animal radical that is used on the left kanji. Keeping that in mind, you line that up with Yoshi for Fujiyoshi to get Fujiyoshi. If you broke apart the first kanji, you get person, dog, and good. Then by combining the latter two kanji into one and putting the whole thing together again, you got Hita Okami, or werewolf. 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 Hita Okami. Does that refer to the Okami-sama, or Great Lord Shinai? The two of them are essentially the same. One takes the form of the peaceful god, Great Lord Shinai, while the other takes the form of the resentful Okami-sama. They both take the shape of the three werewolves, but do different things. I really can't blame people for seeing them as the same. Let's not forget that we have documents saying that there was a culture here that worshipped werewolves at least a century ago. They probably had some beast attacks, started holding human sacrifices, and built a primitive faith around werewolves, and as time passed, that evolved into Shinai-sama. Okami-sama is a divinity born during one of those stages, and to the people of that area, they were the same thing. The villagers of Fushiyoshi were fully aware of their religion's peculiarities, and even hid in their own village's name. Why did they hide it in the first place? I'm sure we'll find more hints up ahead. You're right. Let's move on. We're like hitting like the deep lore area, and my fucking voice is just dying on me now. Let me drink more water. The great-grandfather seemed to have noticed these hidden words too. The reports that followed generally described Fujiyoshi as it was, though their strange practices were now considered rituals, and it seemed to prosper as the cult village. It was a mountain village far from the rest of civilization, yet it prospered through the money left behind by guests, who made the trip regardless. There were now two types of guests here: the ones who visited the place to hunt, and the ones who came for religious reasons. The writings from the later dates included lots of those left by monks who'd come here to study the culture. All of them were surprised by the strange faith and legends of Fujiyoshi and praised the strength of their belief. Some wrote about their faith in detail. Many of them clearly named the four-head families and the legend about the five guardians. The hunters, however, didn't have many writings. Or rather, it wasn't even their writings. Besides a couple of reports by local lords of someone hunting down large beasts on Mount Shinai. There was also those that simply mentioned men who went hunting in Fushiyoshi and never returned. One of them clearly stated, "Do not hunt in Fushiyoshi in the summer. The people of Fushiyoshi speak of the curse of Yasumizu." Okay, so yeah, summer comes along, something is exposed, so there's definitely something natural that causes hallucinations, that keeps tripping up, and that's why people tend to die a lot. I see. Fushiyoshi has changed a lot over the century. Yes, it's fair to assume that all the local names and stories were created during this time. Yasumizu seems to be leaving a different impression too. The hunters who visit this place don't come back. That must mean that the Feast of the Yomi Purge had begun. The history continued. I legit have to get more water. I've already finished off my entire glass. I'll be right back again. Okay. After a while of prosperity due to Shinai's cult, Fujiyoshi began to deteriorate come Meiji. The new government centralized power, rural areas began to be developed, and the religious reforms established Shinto as the state religion. The anti-Buddhist movement of that era planned a complete separation of Shinto and Buddhism, destroying many Buddhist temples, customs, and cultural assets, dealing another blow to the village and its faith. This could easily be found in the Sato records, but it was admitted here that the Uematsu were particularly damaging for them. While there was no denying that the Uematsu culture seemed Buddhist in nature, and the prostitution part must have made them targets of harsh prejudice. The Shinai faith, which had many strange rituals, had to either cease and discard them, or turn them into something more culturally acceptable. However, they did keep a few of them. Before moving on to the next chapter, we put together the region names of Fushiyoshi, which the great-grandfather rediscovered from the archives. According to him, Fushiyoshi had several districts, each one under the jurisdiction of the village heads. The Migurama had Fushiki, where the Shinai shrine was built. The Higuchi had Hoshizuki, where people gathered. The Nasato had Tomaguchi, the medicinal plant field right behind Kagegawa. And last, the Uematsu, who were given the Hachu, the lodging area. The Hochu, maybe it was Hochu? Hachu? Yeah, I guess that's it. According to Kinosuke-shi, these regions remain in Kamafujiyoshi to this day. In fact, the names of these regions had existed from the era when the name Fushiyoshi began to spread from the outside, as well as the designation as Kamafujiyoshi. On the other hand, places aside from Kamafujiyoshi had already been clearly identified and named, such as Yasumizu. Not Yasumizu, spelled with the kanji for rest and water, but rather rest and lord. I see. My great-grandfather reached the same conclusion as us then. If you swap the kanji for fushiki around and combine it into one, you get comb for hair. With Hoshizuki, you get the same trick, then combine them together to get liver. Kagekawa was originally written as, put the first kanji on top of the latter, and you get bone. Tomaguchi is a no-brainer. Put Gucci on top of Tome, and you get foot. And with the Haucho, you place the second kanji between the first and get claw. So the region names of Kamafujiyoshi were divided up and based on body parts. And then we get the real spelling of Yasumizu. Break the first kanji down, and you're left with person, tree, and lord. Combine the latter two with one kanji into one kanji, then put the full word together, you get human sacrifice. His great-grandfather seemed to have had no clue about the purpose of the names. However, he did guess that the oldest one was either Fushiyoshi or Yasumizu, while the other names were new. He concluded that link between those names and the words werewolf and human sacrifice were related. There was another thing here. He guessed that Kamifuchiyoshi was named after body parts to represent a single human as a way of responding to or opposing Yasumizu. Another guess was that by burying the sentiment in the same name of the burying people, burying the sentiment in the name instead of burying people in the ground, they'd avoided killing their own. Honestly, it seemed to me like we didn't have enough to understand the true intention behind this. Though the fact that they had hid the words human sacrifice in Yasumizu was pretty shady. Could you assume that it was named that because it was a human sacrifice meant to help the area, including Kamafujiyoshi, prosper? Or perhaps it was related to the human sacrifice from the origin of the village. Regardless, there was definitely ulterior motives behind the names. As one who knew Yasumizu's future, I was certain of that. Fushiyoshi and Yasumizu had become Fujiyoshi and Yasumizu during the Meiji period and became a single area. The great-grandfather concluded that the naming was based on local conventions and that it was meant to hide the village's past. He had nowhere to continue from here, and his writings in the diary ended. The next section was started out by Kiyonoskishi's great-grandfather, but after his writing grew worse and worse, the family stopped. His son took over. According to Kiyonoskishi, his great-grandfather had gotten a mental illness and began acting eccentric. He'd seen it with his own eyes. The final reasonable bits of writing left behind by him cursed his deteriorating mind and hoped that his descendants would take over his research. His wish was fulfilled when Kiyonoskishi's grandfather found this room and took over. This section was primarily made to give detailed descriptions to the outdated rites and customs of Fujiyoshi. Naturally, the lack of historical accounts was a hindrance. However, the documents owned by the Nasato family and the knowledge he gained as the head made it possible to do it. He was also married to someone with ties to the Miguruma, who he gained access to some Miguruma records. Having gathered info from various sources, he reached some reliable conclusions. Through his efforts to gather information, he made him the target of the other head families. His mind also seemed to deteriorate during the twilight years. The final bits of his writing in the diary seemed to scream his fear of death. He died on May 1st, 15 years ago. The text there, isn't that during a feast? The text here made it evident that he died in the feast of the Yomi Purge. As the hand of the supernatural looms over us and takes our lives, I realize that I am losing control of my mind. Now that I have seen the might of the god I was to venerate, what duty do I have to continue the previous head's research into our homeland of Fujiyoshi? I will probably be hanged tomorrow, and in all honesty, it seems like a favorable outcome at this point. What if the irresistible urge to sleep faded and I opened my eyes to see the wolf-faced god? I would be unable to bear the fear. The wolf's bane I shall use to end my life lies in my hand. And that was it. Kiyonoskishi's voice was shaking. From what he said, his grandfather was an intelligent gentleman that he knew personally and respected immensely. Anyway, the text here could be summed up as thus. Fujiyoshi had several strange rites and customs. When combined with the ones unique to specific head families, the number grew exponentially. It revealed all the details about these things and even had info we didn't really care about right now. The content about the Uematsu was particularly harsh, even though it was noted that not everything was here. Info about the Miguruma, however, was extremely limited. However, it was also said that horrible screams could be heard from their storehouse.
That day, I playfully opened the iron door to the basement of the third lookout. I was told never to go there, and that the door had the symbol on it. And
it was a morbidly interesting read, but there was only one thing about it that mattered to us. It was a custom of lynching in Yasumizu. It was basically describing the feast of the Yomi Purge. The Okami-sama would return from Yomi to get revenge for being killed. The story was the same. There was two notable points here. One was that it had apparently begun about 500 years ago, after the village closed itself off from the world. And the other was that Kama Fujiyoshi was mostly uninvolved in the feasts of that era. Kiyonoskishi's grandfather examined the feast's origins from various angles. He investigated the stones in the Hanging Pines graveyard, looked at the records of Kama Fujiyoshi's mansion, and concluded that Kama Fujiyoshi were making the graves. And according to the mansion records, the Okiba were placed in Yasumizu at this time too. 500 years of history was enough to make it a historic landmark, but there were no megaliths from millennia BCE. They were simply put there to help turn the village into a great Lord Shinai's worshipping holy ground. The words left behind by the elders of Kama Fujiyoshi and Yasumizu gave us more info. There was the legend that, in a time when samurai still existed, Yomibito poured out of Yasumizu and attacked Kama Fujiyoshi. That coincided with the rebellion Kiyonoskishi had mentioned, the reason why the head families oppressed Yasumizu. Looking at both the documents
and word of mouth, the rebellion had happened 5 centuries ago, shortly before the village became isolated. In Yasumizu, Yomibito were said to be scary creatures completely covered in blood water. You could find the word blood water by playing with the kanji in the name Saranaga. Bloodwater Rapids, the stream was considered corrupted even half a millennia ago. Anyway, though the legend was warped by superstition, there was no denying that Kama Fujiyoshi was attacked by people covered in the Saranaga mud. The grandfather concluded, without a doubt, that this incident was what made Kama Fujiyoshi people so afraid of Yasumizu. This rebellion was the very cause of the decades of isolation, the creation of Shinai faith, and the start of the Feast of the Yomi Purge. As for what that meant, it was all planned for the purpose of holding the already discriminated Yasumizu down and preventing further rebellion. The grandfather thought that Yasumizu was purposely created to be discriminated against. Hey, that's what I said. Or I think we figured that out like early on. It was a bad, dangerous place to live in. The reason why it wasn't abandoned wasn't mentioned here, but anyway, people continued calling it home. In governing, intentionally creating a lower class and treating them poorly satisfied the upper class and thus made their governance easier. It was something you saw all over the world. Even in Japan, there was complicated historical discrimination that left its mark even on the current era. Thus, the presence of a settlement meant to be looked down upon was good for the leaders of that era. However, they didn't want any more rebellions. So, how could they stop it? One way was to make them fight amongst themselves. Another was to make them so superstitious they wouldn't even think of rebellion. And the other way is to, give them some shit. Stop oppressing them? Basically, they had to make them believe the lie that there were wolves among them who were killing people, causing them to kill each other. By doing that, they would sap any strength Yasumizu needed to rebel. They also prepared a background story to make them believe that the anomaly was actually real. The grandfather guessed that this was the true purpose of the 5-century-old religion. His sources for that were the documents gathered by his predecessor, which claimed that people from the local temples and shrines were called into the village. He assumed that the incomplete or intentionally destroyed records were those regarding the scholars they summoned to help create the religion. This seemed absurd at first, but after thinking about it, was entirely reasonable. The sediment they looked down upon had barred their fangs at them, so what did they do? Call the smart people for help. That was natural. Alright, so what they're basically saying is, they're like, damn, we have a bunch of people who we want to do field and yard work, and we want to take their labor and use it for our own. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to force them to do work for us, but considering they got really pissed off and attacked us because they figured, we're doing nothing, so they might as well just take what we're taking from them back, and they hurt us. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to just we're going to get a bunch of people, and we're going to make a fake religion, and we're going to make them adopt that fake religion so that we can keep oppressing these people, just so we can keep getting extra shit from them and keep our places of power, and eventually they'll start accepting the religion as real and start killing each other for it. And only in anime does that work. So we got a bunch of smart people around to make a fake religion. I mean, only in anime or in the United States of America. We have plenty of cults that we've started here. Plenty of big cults that have gone on the new and good things. And hell, even people from other countries come here to start cults. It's great. This story happening in Japan is less and less likely to me. If you were saying this is happening in America, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be 100%, yeah. This is the true story of Mormonism. The settlement they looked down, I read that one. And so the scholars teamed up, created a new religion, and made the settlement fight itself. And if they'd given the head families roles in the legends to ensure proper control. Man, it sounded messed up, but it didn't seem impossible. It's the other way around. It's so that the people of Kama Fujiyoshi wouldn't have to look into the eyes of the people of Yasumizu, who may or may not be Yamamoto. Yeah, so they didn't have to look into the eyes of people they were fucking oppressing. They wanted to avoid eye contact, not only because they thought that they were corrupted, but also because they were afraid. Kama Fujiyoshi was afraid of Yasumizu. It was a possibility I wouldn't have considered before, but it was seemed likely. It'd be pretty scary if the people they looked down upon finally let their grudge take over and become fearful marauders, ready to enact their revenge. Yep, nobody wants their slaves to rebel. And because they were afraid of how badly they treated the settlement, the guilt grew even larger, and they started controlling and discriminating against them even further. Although, for the record, if you stopped, remember, the reason why the people attacked in the first place wasn't to get revenge because they were being oppressed. They did it because they were running out of supplies and they really needed more supplies. That was the original onus for the attack. So the answer is, if you just don't oppress them as hard, they won't actually attack you and strike out because they're not as evil as you. You were the weirdos making up an entire religion just so you could keep your fucking slaves. You know, if you just were like, you know what, let them benefit from their own labor and maybe we'll oppress them just a little bit of oppression, not a lot of it, just a little bit. Maybe they just won't attack us. Maybe they'll just be like, this is how it is. You know, like they do everywhere else. Maybe if we treated them as serfs instead of slaves, then they wouldn't have. Maybe you wouldn't have had to make an entire fake religion. And because they were aware of how badly they were treating the settlement, the guilt grew even larger. They even started controlling and discriminating against them even further. When you looked at it that way, they made a whole religion just to protect themselves. And boy, was that insane. Now, with the feast's origin revealed, what was that about the head families not being involved in so much? Okay, I'm very quickly fading. I'm going to save here, and I'll pick this up tomorrow. Because I'm starting to, like, mix words together, and my brain is fading. So, we'll pick up from here. We've gotten a lot of good information. We've got a lot of good the background and lore. We'll start tomorrow fresh. We'll continue diving into this deep lore dive and finding out why things are going on or how this all started. So, yeah, we'll pick up with this again tomorrow. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm getting kind of tired here. We're hitting a lot of information and we're going to be digging a lot deeper, so I'll be picking this right up again tomorrow, and we'll keep plodding on through. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Let me just give that a save. Alright, and I'll see you all tomorrow.